so many things. OG kind of stopped him for a little bit late. Don't let him shoot the three. You got to foul him. He just missed the free throw the last time. We'll take the glass half full approach and say if they got into a series, maybe a couple of those games go the Knicks' way. But, the Knicks are not beating the allegations about not being able to beat the top teams, 0-8 against top teams, 0-9, I think now against the top teams. And the Knicks are not beating the allegations of, hey, like, you can't match up with the Celtics. And that's the thing about the Celtics. And how terrible is Reggie Miller on the call? The glazing is out of control. At one point late in the game, he was like, oh, this is like child abuse. I'm like, this is nothing like child abuse, Reggie. What are you talking about? Oh, they've got so many weapons. They do. They do. 888-808-1019. But what I'll say is you've seen some growth with this Knicks team. You've seen this Knicks team evolve a little bit with Brunson not being there and guys having to emerge and step up. And that kind of gave you confidence that, okay, and like Brunson is just getting back, but it gave you confidence that, like, okay, we learned a lot about this group. We learned a lot about these guys, and maybe they'll be different this time around. And they were an overtime loss that you had the lead late, battled. And there's just a couple little things. Karl Anthony Towns early in the game was having his way, getting what he wanted. Karl Anthony Towns early in the game looked like, MVP, like we were talking about earlier in the year. He looked like the guy that you acquired, the guy that you want to be able to take over and be the difference in this matchup. I think in the first half, I had a clip from StatMuse. 21 minutes, 22 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block, 9 to 13. But ultimately, it's Jason Tatum, man. If you don't have an answer for him, and it's not even like pick your poison. Jaylen Brown was on the bench for a lot of that at the end. It's not even pick your poison with those two. Porzingis, and it doesn't matter who they have running around, whether it's Derek White or Drew Holiday. How about Drew Holiday in the third quarter? He had all his points pretty much in the third quarter. And then even their bench, guys like Sam Hauser, Luke Cornett, Peyton Pritchard, like they have a good team. They have a good, solid team. Those guys play well together. And there's no wonder why they're the defending champs. And hey, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So the Knicks got to find a way. I mean, obviously, one game at a time, one series at a time. But that was a little bit of a litmus test for like, okay, it's April now. Where are we now versus this team? Tatum goes out there, drops 32 points. Porzingis drops 34. He can't wait to come back to the Garden. Already mentioned Drew Holiday had 10 in the third. He had 16 overall. Derek White with 14. And then when you look at the Knicks, I mean, Mikal Bridges, you know what? It wasn't Mikal Bridges supposed to be the guy that's going to guard Tatum, stop Tatum. Tatum's shooting right over him. Mikal Bridges ends up with 14 points. And then Josh Hart. I mean, Josh Hart, some of those shots, buddy, 0 for 4 from 3. 0 for 4 from deep. I don't know. Let's take a call because we're fresh off the game. Like I said, you call me up and articulate what you saw, what you felt. Before we get to the phones, I'll look at some of the team stats, right? Because it was an overtime game. It was a bucket difference. It was very close. The biggest difference here, the Celtics shot much better from 3, 10% better from 3. They shot 38% to the Knicks, 28%, 38.8, 28.9. Free throw percentage, they shot 80% from the charity stripe. The Knicks, 62.5. The Knicks out-rebounded them by a lot, 52 to 38. Passed the ball about the same. Let me see the fouls. The Knicks had 21 fouls to their 17. Points in the paint, Knicks had 60 to their 30. I don't know. Let's play this as, like I said, glass half full, optimism going into the playoffs that, hey, it is not a guarantee. The regular season is the regular season, right? The Celtics take all 4 games in the regular season. But, like, this one was not a blowout. This one was a contest all the way into the last possession. And you feel good about, or not good, but you feel better about your chances if inevitably, it is Celtics Knicks in the second round. 888-808-1019. Richie's in Queens on the fan. What's up, Richie? Richie, Rich. I'm good. How are you?
Okay. I didn't get to me that quick. I appreciate it. Yeah, with the Knicks, I guess you can say it's a little progress. I've been touting for a while that, the fact that they've been beat up so bad by OKC, Cleveland, Boston, it's like, wow, nobody gives them a shot at all. Win the first round, and that's going to be a battle, whoever they play. Defensively, they've got to get better, especially perimeter-wise. And they went to overtime. They played hard. I mean, you wonder how much they're really Celtics are not looking to get hurt at this point. But I give them credit. The lead kills them, I think, Keith. You know as well as I. When Porzingis is in there, it's really, really difficult for anybody as good as those guys are defensively. So I don't know what's going to happen, but hey, you played a game. They did win 52 games. I think it's a take on the Yankees. You're a little disturbed with them at all, or?
Nah. I wouldn't say I'm disturbed with the Yankees. Am I disappointed? Am I like, well, yeah, we'll get to it at some point. It's just, it's the second week of April. They're playing in freezing cold conditions in Detroit. I knew once they didn't get anything out of that first inning on Skubal, where you get the Paul Goldschmidt knock, the Ben Rice knock, Skubal's going to lock in. If you don't jump on him and make him pay, he retired like 15 in a row or something. I watched the game earlier and I took some notes on it. We'll talk about it, but ultimately I'm not that worried about the Yankees losing 3 in a row, losing their second series. It's early in the season. It's not as hot as they started, but that's baseball, Susan. Not Susan's brand of baseball, but that's baseball. You end up playing in Michigan in the early part of April. It's freezing cold. They can't do the little things right.
The other day, real quick, the San Francisco Giants fan, and they had at one point 3 teams were 7-1. And Keith and Gary mentioned that they could. But nobody brought up the fact that the Giants don't play a Western their own division for 30 games. I hate the schedule. There's no excuse for at the end of the year that the Giants play Detroit or the Yankees play the Angels. It should be your last games. The last 2 series should mean something in the division. So, go back to, it was 19, go back to 14 with the division games. Yeah, get the NL League in, which is fun to see. It wasn't like that when I was growing up. You only saw these teams in the World Series. But do you agree with that? I just don't like the fact 30 games before you play your own division. That's great.
It's just with the balanced scheduling. I think eventually we're going to see a shortened schedule. There's so much talk about these games, like the Mets game was moved, worked out for the Mets. I think eventually we're going to see baseball start closer to May, and there's going to be a shorter season. And we're also going to see realignment where like some of these issues will work themselves out. But I understand. I agree with you. We've watched baseball so long where it's like, look, like the Mets. How are the Mets playing 2 series in 2 weeks against a division opponent? But like you say, the Giants, which I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, they're going to go 30 games before they face anybody in the NL West.
By the way, Kate, I'll be there on Sunday because they're playing the Yankees. It's going to be a good matchup at this point if it stays well down against Webb. So I'll be at Yankee Stadium. Is it safe to wear my San Francisco Giant hat, or is that an issue?
Oh, you're good. You can wear every San Francisco Giants socks, shorts, hoodie, everything. So, you're good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward because the Yankees and the Giants growing up as a kid in the 50s, my God. I went to a couple of games with Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. Let me tell you, being at the old stadium and also the Polo Grounds. So that tells you how far I go back. But those games were incredible, and I'm looking forward to that. I think the Giants and the Yankees have had a little nice, little more rivalry through the years. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Thanks for the call, Richie. Enjoy the game Sunday. I think I'm going Friday. It's gonna rain. It's probably not gonna be great conditions. But now that we're doing the Yankees. Sprinkled the open with the Knicks coming off the loss. If you do want to talk Knicks, you want to get a thought in. If you feel some type of way about the coach, if you feel some type of way about the defense, if you feel some type of way about certain players on the Knicks and how they match up against the Celtics, dial 888-808-1019. But as far as the Yankees go, like I was saying, I can't get too upset about the Yankees being humbled in freezing temperatures with nobody in the ballpark, in a series that was supposed to be played at 6:40 and all of these games get moved. Like, I don't know. Is it disappointing? Hell yeah. But it's Carlos Carrasco versus the Cy Young winner. You know what I'm saying? It's like the writing is on the wall. I just said it to Richie. When that game starts and the Yankees seem to come out motivated after what they didn't do the day before, and they waste back-to-back singles from Goldie and Rice, you have Skubal right there in a position where it's like you got to get at least a run across. They didn't, man. These guys look cold. They're all bundled up. Like when I say they're not doing the little things right, there's little mistakes that are happening, even with the umps. We'll talk about it, where it's just like they're out there in the freezing cold. Baseball is an outside game. It's not meant to be played in the freezing cold, but at the same time, I can't make excuses for them because when we get to the fall classic, what if you have to go somewhere? What if New York is freezing cold? And not for nothing, the Tigers were a postseason team last year. They won in the wild card, knocking off the Astros. I knew they weren't a slouch. I remember last week talking about, like, I got my eye on them before we play them. I knew they were going to play us tough. And, Carlos Carrasco, when you're looking at the Yankees rotation, that's where my biggest concern is right now. Not so much that they lost. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose series. And in those elements, you can kind of understand. But where I'm looking at the Yankees is their pitching. I'm looking at Marcus Stroman. I'm looking at Carlos Carrasco. I'm looking at Will Warren. I'm looking at a shaky Carlos Rodon who can't overcome, his shoelaces being untied. Like, damn, do we miss Garrett Cole? 888-808-1019. And they're going to have to make a move for somebody else. They're going to have to accelerate Luis Gil's return because with the hitting and the torpedo bats and the history that was made, you kind of knew that was just the hitting was ahead of the pitching. They have the best player in the game, the best hitter in the game. They have a deeper lineup. Guys got hot. The bottom of the order, the best bottom of the order in baseball. Trent Grisham is getting pitches to hit. You knew that would kind of level out at some point. But when you go back to the starting pitching, like, not for nothing, I didn't mention Max Fried because Max Fried is Max Fried, but he's gotten the most run support out of any Yankee starting pitcher. 888-808-1019. Speaking of, hitting, being ahead of the pitching, the conversation was flipped. It was the opposite with the Mets. Wow, look at, Jeremy Hefner's pitching lab and David Stern's eye for talent. And look at the Mets pitching staff. Well, they showed a little bit of weakness out of the bullpen today, but what a day for Clay Holmes. It's funny, right? As I mentioned Carlos Rodon, yesterday the whole thing with Rodon was like, oh, no, he threw the ball well, but you just got to take out one or two mistakes. And, we can't take out one or two mistakes for Carlos Rodon. If you take out one or two mistakes for Clay Holmes today, early in the game, some singles, walks, whatever, letting the measly Marlins get on the board, Clay Holmes was excellent. Clay Holmes looked like what we saw in spring training. And, how about Sanger, the young catcher, the pride of Miami, Ohio. I was listening to him post-game talk about we just went to the four seam. Clay's got a lot of good breaking stuff, but sometimes you just got to throw the four seam into the zone and see if they could hit it on a cold, windy day. See if these guys are ready to play, and they weren't. Clay Holmes with a career-high 10 strikeouts, looking like the ace that a lot of Mets fans were talking about in March. 888-808-1019. The Mets go out there and handle business, and right away, we can forget about the slow start for Lindor. That's done. Right away, again, I've been saying this all week. Lindor setting the tone. I was saying it last year. You want to talk about an MVP, how valuable of a player Lindor is? It's funny. We question the contract. I did. Many of us, hosts on this station, fans listening, we question the contract. Like, that guy is worth every penny. And now that they're winning, and now that there are a lot of talented players, arms and position players, like, they don't even have most of their guys healthy. Like, they're missing a lot of guys. Like, I won't say most of the guys. They're missing a few key pieces. Like, the fact that I'm talking about Hayden Sanger, I didn't even know who he was a couple months ago. So, like, they're waiting to get Alvarez back. Luis Torrens is down. And we talk so much about the lineup not being what we expected. This top of the lineup is the best top of the lineup in baseball. They have one of the best lineups in baseball next to the Dodgers. Oh, and that's another thing, right? If the Yankees are cooked, then the Dodgers are cooked. If we're already disturbed about this, the Yankees and what we're seeing from them, are Dodgers fans disturbed that they're losing to the Phillies and Nationals back to back? But yeah, let's get into it, man. 888-808-1019. I've got 3 hours. I'm going to talk about everything. There's a lot to unpack. My notes are 3 days long on the Knicks, on the Yankees, on the Mets. And I do want to get into some NFL draft stuff later because I feel like exactly what we're seeing with the news now as we get close to the draft is what happens every year. Smoke screens and this and that and visits and pro days and this guy ate with this guy. And then ultimately it just goes back to drafting the position of need. So we'll get there for the Jets and the Giants. Keith McPherson on the Fan. You know the number to dial. I am on till 2 a.m. Let's talk sports. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. Let's see, yo. In the chat, Levi, what up, man? Pam, what up? What up? Too early to tell? Too early to tell what? I hate this stupid ass streak, bro. I can't dodge that. There it is. I gotta get that streak out of the way. It's too bright. See streaks. I feel like that glass is dusty as hell, but is very city-like. You feel me? It looks like very New York City-like building. Question, why do we go in depth to discuss every aspect of all positions in sports, but MLB pitchers' entire line of work is just called stuff? Because I think you lose people when you start to talk about pitch mix, sequencing, when you start talking about, I just started talking about with Clay Holmes, right? How he started throwing the four-seam pass. Not everybody is watching the game and thinking about how the pitcher is attacking the strike zone and, approaching certain hitters. That's when you start to get in the weeds. And I think on talk shows, specifically television, but definitely radio too, some podcasts you can do it. But I think when you start to get in the weeds on Clay Holmes was really using his four-seam fastball, you lose people. They want to just talk about the home runs, the RBI, who made big plays, stuff like that. When you talk about stuff, it's just a generalization for good stuff. Carlos Rodon had good stuff, but he made some mistakes. Let me pull up these box scores as I say all that. And I think, can I pull up the wrap? I always am trying to pull up the freaking wrap for these games. Because that I haven't pulled it up yet, but there used to be, maybe you got to be on the phone app. There used to be a way to pull up in an MLB app the wrap. Like when you see the wrap of the game, they'll show you the pitch mix. They'll show you how many pitches the pitcher threw and what kind of pitches. I'm working on that right now. I think if I just go to wrap, here it is, game story. If you go to the game story, skip through. What's up, Marco?
Yeah.
Tell me they don't include it anymore. See, that's stupid to me. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly why what you just said. Why do people just say stuff? Because when you get into the weeds on what pitches these pitchers throw and what worked effectively for them, you lose people. MLB should have this. Last year they had it where every game, the starting pitcher, it would show you this almost 3D diagram of what pitches the pitcher threw, how many pitches, where they landed. I guess I got to go to Baseball Savant to get that. And I don't got the time for all that. It should just be in the app. But now you got me down a rabbit hole. Clay Holmes was missing in the beginning of the game. See, you can also do this. If you go to the summary and we just look at okay, summary, go to all. You can see Clay Holmes was throwing his sinker, his sweeper, in the beginning of the game, they got a couple hits off of him, a couple walks off of him, some early damage that didn't really do much, but he was missing sweeper, sinker, cutter, changeup. So once he was missing with all that, they just started to tell him throw the four-seam fastball in there for strikes and see if these guys can hit it, if they can even do anything with it. And then once you got them looking for that, they're looking fastball. You can strike them out with your off-speed stuff. All right. Yeah, but thanks for that. See, this is what the chat is for. This is what we chat about. When will Stanton come back, Keith? I don't know. Stanton Jedi bobblehead night, May the 4th weekend.
Good evening at 11 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Well, possible playoff preview, but again, the Knicks unable to get over the hump thanks in large part to an old friend. Final dagger on a 34-point night for Porzingis as the Celtics outlast the Knicks 119-117 in overtime. That's Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller, the call TNT. Karl-Anthony Towns, 34 points, 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson, 27 and 10 assists, but the Knicks finish 0-4 against Boston in the season. Nets too much for the Pelicans, 119-114. Mets win streak now stands at 6 over 1. The Marlins, 10-5. Bats broke out with 4 runs in the 5th, and Pete Alonso put things out of reach with a 3-run double in the 6th after Juan Soto was intentionally walked. Clay Holmes, his first Mets win, struck out 10, gave up 4 runs for 5 in the 3rd. Carlos Carrasco tagged for 4 runs and 4 in the 3rd, including 3 homers, as the Tigers shut out the Yankees 5-zip. Bruins, they pound the Devils 7-2, and the Predators escape the Islanders 7-6 in overtime. 37 degrees, clear sky at Central Park, and that's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
That was you? Was that a bat? I felt like I heard like a clicking.
He's playing golf.
Oh, that's this guy. I'm like, what the hell is that? Okay. Wherever you are in the towns, in the states, dial 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan talking sports. I got a full rack of Yankees calls. I'm not surprised. People want to talk Yankees with me. But I'm putting it out there. Like, if you want to talk Knicks, if you want to talk about how you're feeling after the Knicks-Celtics game, it's wide open. If you want to talk Mets, if you want to talk about Lindor, Alonso with more ribbies, Soto extends his on-base streak. Guys like Vientos, the baseball gods, showing mercy on Vientos. And now, right, the Mets put up another 10 spot on the Marlins. The Mets lineup being there to pick up the pitching. It's a Mets world. We're all just living in it. It's all good at Citi Field. What's that, 6 in a row? Going for the sweep? Congratulations, Mets fans. It's looking like you had hoped, better than some of you had hoped. 888-808-1019. But for the Yankee fan, I'll tell you this. You know, going into this game, we get the news that Cody Bellinger is out again, and it's not his back. He has illness from eating bad wings. And I'm like, what? And then, like, after the game, he made a joke on his Instagram saying round 2, and he posted some wings, but it's a picture of some wings. He's not in the picture. His hand's not in. So I'm like, is he joking? Is he trolling? I don't know what to believe. But Cody Bellinger's not in, and I don't know if he helps today anyway. But I wouldn't be joking after having food poisoning. If you've ever had food poisoning, it's not a joking matter. 888-808-1019. But, like, in the first 2 games, there's a theme here at Comerica Park. Starts off with, Austin Wells and his burrito account, Austin Wells, is rating burritos, breakfast burritos, giving you reviews on that. And so that inspires Michael K to start his tendies reviews. He's doing a great job. Shout out to the Caster and his Instagram as he reviews chicken tenders. And then we get a illness from some wings in Detroit with Cody Bellinger. I don't know what's going on with the food with the Yanks, but I'll tell you one thing. They are not eating at the rate that they were eating at the plate. They are not. They are not, man. In that first inning, like I said, I just knew. You wasted those singles, and after that, I forget the number. I checked out. I think Skubal retired like 15 in a row before Judge got a hit. And you just keep thinking back to, hey, like, we have Carlos Carrasco on the mound. You got to jump on Skubal. Tarek Skubal is the reigning Cy Young winner, and like last year, he shoved against the Yankees. Like, if you think about it, like, we have lost last year and this year to the Tigers. The Tigers are someone we definitely don't want to run into. What a nightmare scenario that would be, running into the Tigers in the wild card round or something like that. They're scrappy. They like to play against the Yanks. And, you know, Carlos Carrasco had it until he didn't. 3 cookies, 3 homers, and then you knew the game was over. So your New York Yankees, call me up and tell me how you feel about them. They have come back down to earth, and it's just a reminder. This is a roller coaster. We're going to go up. We're going to go down. We're going to go up. We're going to go back down. Are you down for the ride? Are you in? Are you out? Strap in, because like when you're looking at this pitching staff, there's going to be days where they're not hitting home runs. They're not scoring runs, and the pitching staff gives it up. Can't keep the ball in the ballpark. 888-808-1019. Avery's in Manhattan on the Fan in New York.
How are you?
I'm good, Avery. How are you?
All right. I was going to mention the food thing because it's actually pretty funny. And Kay's doing a good job with this food account, but the trend is a little bit ridiculous. And ever since all that started, the bats have gone cold.
Yep, like cold pizza on the ground in the Bronx somewhere.
You know, going into that game, not because every time Carlos Carrasco comes and he's going to have a start, it's always going to be a question mark. That's just the way it is. So you knew, of course, against Tarek Skubal, you were going to have to be strong offensively. I just don't understand one thing. If the Yankees know that they struggle against left-handed pitchers, especially left-handed pitchers, then how come the approach at the beginning was swing at every pitch? Why not work the count? Isn't it always better to work the count against a pitcher like that? That's how they were so good in October last year. It felt like the strategy coming into that game was swing at every first chance you get. Go try to tire the pitcher out and get to their bullpen.
Yeah, I don't know. Skubal is different. You know, they tried to hop all over his pitches, but like after a while, he was playing with them. You know, he didn't have to. He could throw whatever he wanted. And you know, not for nothing, they took him out with 87 pitches. He probably could have kept going. They spared us. But yeah, like even when you look at the top of the order, Goldie had 3 hits today. Rice had the single in the beginning. Judge had 2 hits today. It's just like the rest of the guys after. Jazz has been just like he can't play in the cold. He posted on his Instagram like baseball is not meant to be played in these elements, and he's got nothing. 0 for 4 again. Volpe 0 for 3. At least he had a walk. Wells 0 for 4. At least he had some burritos. Jason Dominguez 0 for 3. Grisham 0 for 3. 2 Ks. Peraza 0 for 3. Like it's just nada.
I'm not going to read too much into the nuances of the way that this game ended, but I will say that we must be cautious because we can't be going back to Yankee Stadium 6-6. It just can't happen. We gotta get it. We can't do that because at that point it becomes really risky, and we've seen how this team teeters. Unfortunately, we're being stuck with a gauntlet of pitching early. Now, maybe it's unfortunate, maybe it's fortunate, you know? Maybe it's good to get the Zach Gallons and the Corbin Burns and the Tarek Skubal out of the way if you can early on. But the Giants are, what, 8-2? Oh, we got to see them now? I wish the New York Giants would go 8-2. The San Francisco Giants are 8-2. We got to see them now. You know, I still stand by my philosophy or my thing that makes me confident in this Yankees lineup, which is I'm not afraid of any right-handed pitcher. We had to win that first game against Casey Mize. We couldn't. Now we got to go beat Jack Flaherty, and I believe we will. But you've got to go to the stadium 7-5. You can't go 6-6. Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks for the call, Avery. 888-808-1019. They could definitely be swept, though. Like, I feel like they're feeling sorry for themselves because it's cold. But it's cold for the Tigers, too. And don't give me that, oh, they're at home. Here comes former Dodger and former Tiger back with the Tiger, Jack Flaherty. I heard this week that he went to school at the same school as Max Fried. So you got Fried versus Flaherty. Fingers crossed that, like I said, they have the run support that they've had for Max Fried in his first two outings for some reason. Like, do you guys feel like this too? And I said this about Rodon, and this used to be a thing with Cole. They always had Cole's back for the most part. There was just a feeling like you're going to win with Cole on the mound. With Rodon, there's a feeling that you're going to lose. There's just a feeling of just like uncertainty. And then when things go bad, they go bad and you can't undo them because he can't undo them. Hopefully with Max Fried on the mound, maybe Giancarlo Stanton tells them, hey, we don't get swept in Michigan and they fight to win. But they definitely could come back to Yankee Stadium 500 facing a Giants team that right now they're down 1-0 to the Cincinnati Reds, but like they might come in super hot, 8-2. 888-808-1019, and they got some good pitching as well. Matt is in Ohio on the fan. I don't know if he's a Reds fan. What's up, Matt?
No, I'm a transplanted New Yorker, but I think the baseball fans should just relax with April, things.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Mets fan. I'm not going to get overexcited, and the Yankee fans shouldn't, jump out the window yet. So, but I really wanted to talk about the Knicks because I've called in a few times to the different shows on the fan, and we need a new coach because tonight was a perfect example. This guy, Thibodeau, cannot win a game against a good team. He has no in-game adjustment. This is a guy whose whole life is basketball. And he doesn't know that you do not give Tatum a chance to beat you. You do not give him a chance to get a shot off. He's like, well, if you foul, he might get 3 free throws. No, you foul him, and these guys know how to foul. And it's going to be a 2-shot, and then you're going to win the game. And another thing, 2.9, why is Josh Hart on the court when we have the ball? Out of all the guys taking the last shot, he couldn't draw up a play to get a shot.
He got a good look.
But shouldn't be in the game. McBride should be in the game. Then they don't guard Josh Hart. And he cannot hit a 3 with pressure. So to me, if he's the coach of the team, he didn't foul on the last possession Boston had. And he has Hart in the game who takes the last shot to try to win the game. To me, that's grounds for dismissal right there. I'm out.
Thanks for the call, Matt. 888-808-1019. So that is glass more half empty. And when I talk about the inevitable facing the Celtics in the playoffs, if it's another second-round exit, the loudest narrative is going to be the narrative that Matt just called in with. They got to get rid of the coach. But this coach is responsible for a lot of their success, a lot of these guys' development. And, like, he is the leader of these Knicks that have won 50 games, are in the playoffs, are a top team. I don't know. 888-808-1019. Rami, I'll tag you in a second to talk Knicks. I want to talk to Adam in Butler, New Jersey on the fan. Adam, what you thinking about?
Hey, Keith, how are you? This is my first time calling you.
Welcome in.
So I want to talk about the Devils. Now, I'm a little frustrated because tonight that building was ready to go. We were ready to celebrate to get into the playoffs.
Clinch, yeah.
And they lay an egg to the worst team in the Eastern Conference. And not just lay an egg, they got
Quickly. I stopped watching at 3-0. It got out of hand fast.
boat race. This team is a joke. If they're going to be bounced in the first round, easily beat by Carolina.
Thanks for the call, Adam. I don't want to go that far and say the Devils are a joke and they're going to be bounced in the first round. I saw a report that Dougie Hamilton might be able to return. Don't get my hopes up. I still do believe in, Jesper Brad and Nico Hischier and just the Devils fans and the culture and the environment that's created over there at Prudential Center, like playoff hockey. And it sucks to not have Jack Hughes Luke Hughes still exists. Like, I don't want to. I just think it's one of those nights where when they light the lamp that fast, and I think it was that first goal that, or maybe it was the second goal. It doesn't matter. We don't have that much time to talk about it. Pasternak scored that goal. It was just like a breakaway goal, and I'm like, oh well, so much for the party that we were expecting. So much for the party we were expecting to clinch tonight. But like, don't throw away the team. Don't throw away the season. Don't throw away their chances. But I know it's not ideal. It's not the way you draw it up. It's not how you hoped for this team to be heading into the playoffs, and you'd like a better showing. But like, you could be a Rangers fan. You could be watching what the Rangers did the other night. 888-808-1019. Rami, go ahead if you got. Well, I mean, you definitely have something on the Rangers, but your thought on the Knicks.
Are not even worth talking about. The Knicks, to me, it's crazy. They have 150-win season in the previous 12 or 13 coaches. And now the last 2 years, they have 50-win seasons back-to-back with Tom Thibodeau. And
people want him out.
It's insane to me. The simple answer, and this is just a really basic answer, but you lose in overtime by 2 points, and you get nothing from OG again, and you get nothing from Mikal. If those guys play the way they played when Jalen was out, if OG plays the way he played even the last couple of games when Jalen came back, or the first couple of games before Jalen went out, when he started to get hot, then all of a sudden you beat these teams. That's what the difference is. Those X factors, those other secondary scorers, they're not playing to their capabilities. The team's not playing well enough. You can't pin it all on the coach, who's the only reason you're here relevant in the first place.
Yeah, it's a personnel thing. And when I say personnel, it's like not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes. I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm not a hater. I know I'm not a Knicks fan, so anything that I say, like I was tweeting about the Knicks earlier. Someone was like, go watch the Nets. I'm like, I was watching the Nets. I actually bet against them. They balled tonight. Drew Timhay.
Top every time from South Park.
Timhay. But what was I gonna say? I just don't think that this team is the team. Mikal Bridges is a disappointment, speaking of the Nets. And like what you just saw from OG being the offensive force, you're not going to see that. Karl Anthony Towns was the offensive force. Jalen Brunson is back. Like, those guys having the ball changes his role and changes his approach. And like, when I look at Josh Hart and like how much was made of like the Villanova guys and getting these guys together, you're missing one of the main cogs in that, in Dante DiVincenzo, who was a dog, who was tough, who could be coming off the bench scoring for you right now. Campaign does this thing a little bit. Miles McBride does this thing a little bit. But you need those guys to do a lot of it to go beat the Celtics. I just don't think the Knicks ultimately match up well enough. Like, look at who's stopping Porzingis. And I said, the fact that Jaylen Brown played 22 minutes and at the end of the game, they didn't even need him. Like, pick your poison. No, it's not even pick your poison. They have so many weapons and so many ways to beat you. You can pin it on the coach and say the coach should have fouled. Tatum was getting off whatever shots he wanted over Mikal Bridges. Like I said, I was watching the game. Reggie Miller's talking about it's child abuse at this point. It's not child abuse. Don't say that. But he's basically saying Mikal Bridges can't check him. I heard from Knicks fans that like, oh, last year if we had Mikal Bridges, he would have been. No. Mikal Bridges is far from the Mikal Bridges that played with the Suns in the finals, or even the Mikal Bridges that was the like number one guy for Brooklyn. Like, I don't know what he is now at this point.
Is this guy that you traded for? That's the biggest problem in all this. You thought you got something, and I'm not ready to give up on him because we've seen flashes, especially the game in Portland where he has the game winner. But a lot of the games when Jalen was out, all of a sudden he was more assertive. But it's crazy.
As much as Mikal Bridges talked about like playing the Big East tournament in the Garden and wanting to be in the Garden, and how Barclays Center, your own fans get drowned out by other fans. Now you're there, buddy. Catch the damn ball. That turnover at the end of the game is you come up small, bro. You look like you're not ready for prime time in the Mecca.
Doesn't look like he wants to take the big shots, always looking passive. A couple of times he comes around the screen and he's open for a three and he just hesitates and he's not open anymore. He seems so just hesitant is the only word I could think of. Scared almost.
Timid, unsure.
The guy who wanted to be in these moments, like you said, he was in them in Villanova. He was in a finals when he was really young in Phoenix. It makes no sense.
But that's your man's. That's the guy you traded 5 picks for and reunited him, and all of the energy in the offseason, like before Cat was, oh, we got Mikal Bridges, the last infinity stone. And it's just like they kept making moves to try and make the team better. Ultimately, I don't think that this team can match up with the Celtics. I don't think they can match them. It doesn't matter what I think. The facts. They can't beat any of the top teams. So I know the postseason and playoffs are different. What exactly is going to change? I always leave room for potential injuries. I don't wish injury on anybody. You know, we saw Tatum have an ankle injury a couple weeks ago. He's perfectly fine now. Like, I don't see what changes where all of a sudden the Knicks get some type of edge or advantage, and they need a big edge or advantage to advance against any of these teams. They might not get out of the first round.
Try to push back because tonight we saw what they can do. They hung with them right till the end, right? That they hang with them till the end. And not only that, when they're down big at the end of the game, they had the last push in regulation.
They were up.
Right? And they had that push, what was it, a 12-2 run at some point to take the lead and then go on. And ultimately, they should have won that game if there's not that foul call, right? Finish it in.
Perhaps.
Can see a case where they can play with this team in the postseason. And by the way, that's with OG and Mikal not being assertive enough. So we still haven't seen them play a complete game against the top teams. So it sounds like excuse making because, every time they play against the top teams, they don't play a complete game. But that's just been the fact. It's either been opening night or they've been hurt or the second of a back-to-back. It's always been something. Tonight, they'll play with the Celtics. And not only that, they could be the team that at the end of the game goes on a run to rip your hearts out, to rip the Celtics' hearts out. And it just wasn't meant to be out. OG, I still think, even from tonight, there's another level they can get to.
But how much of a difference do you think Jaylen Brown would have made being on the floor?
Playing well. And they were talking about it on the broadcast, too. They said, he just didn't look like himself.
Was he hurt?
I don't know why, because I heard that on the broadcast. He just doesn't seem like himself. This is the question mark going into the postseason. Was it that, or was it just they played him 20 minutes because they are locked up where they are?
Yeah, going into the game, wasn't everybody questionable or like we weren't sure if they were all going to play?
Sure, who they were going to play, who they weren't going to play, but they ended up playing pretty much all their guys other than Jaylen for the second half.
So the difference will be adjustments. This is the last sample that you get against the Celtics. It's on the head coach. You want to save your job? If you end up in the second round, you need to have a different approach. You got to make some adjustments for how this Knicks team is going to be able to actually not just hang with the Celtics, not just compete with the six Celtics, beat the Celtics. 888-808-1019. Mets fans, I see you on the line. Yankee fans, I see you on the line. Just hold on. We'll get there. We got to play some other sounds. Don't go anywhere. Keep McPherson on the fan. I'll be right back.
Euro.
You know, 0-8, beating the allegations about not being able to beat the top teams. You know, 0-8 against top teams, 0-9, I think now against the top teams. What I'll say is you've seen some growth with this Knicks team. You've seen this Knicks team evolve a little bit with Brunson not being there and guys having to emerge and step up. And that kind of gave you confidence that, okay, and like Brunson is just getting back, but it gave you confidence that, like, okay, we learned a lot about this group. We learned a lot about these guys, and maybe they'll be different this time around. And they were. All right, man. I didn't even take my jacket off. We'll have another break before 12. Oh, he's on the phone. All right, I got to do big shot. And I'll send you my like new drops, and I have a like John Sterling drop I've brought back. Tell me something cool. But you're out of here at 12, so don't worry about it. I'll have you queue up the big shot though. So at 40, we'll do big shot. That'll be all you got to do. Chat going crazy. Hold up, chat. I'll get back to you. I'm working on some things with my producer. I gotta send him some stuff. I always have a different producer every night, so it's like having a partner for a project, and you have a different partner every night you do the project. It's like they know what the project is, but like they don't know the details. The songs? Oh yeah, they're absolutely cooked. And what a joke. I wish them no luck because of obviously the trade with Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson and KD. Straight up. All right, y'all. Let me answer this chat. Big fan Breezy. Did I miss the part where you talk about the Knicks losing? Yeah, I try not to completely just like kill their hopes and dreams as Knicks fans. We talk about it. I don't have to believe in them. We'll see what happens. And when it comes from me, it always comes back to me. What about the Nets? Hey, we're not talking about the Nets. Shador is not doing good in the combine. What up, Matt? Or what up, Kevin Matthew? Nets need to hire Mike Malone. No, they don't. They got their coach. Rodent. Yeah, we are worried. That's what I was talking about, bro. Keep listening. Well, I'll get to the rest of the chat. We're coming back. Okay, let's get right back to the phone. We're talking Knicks, we're talking Mets, we're talking Yankees. I don't want to just stay on one. Obviously, the Yankees played at 1 o'clock today. The Mets played at 4 o'clock today, and we're freshly coming off of the Knicks loss. So everything's on the table, man. Let's get to it because time is burning on me. I got a couple segments to do, and I got a full rack of calls. 888-808-1019. Bob is all the way in LA on the Fan in New York.
Hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. I want to talk about the Knicks and the Yankees, but sort of through the lens of trades. Trades that the Knicks made that I really do think derailed their title hopes, and they were right on the right track. And the one trade I think the Yankees can make right now that will really push them ahead of everybody. So the Knicks thing is, I remember the day they traded for Cat. I was like, too bad, man. Like, you just lost your identity. You lost Hartenstein. You lost DiVincenzo. You got a guy. Everything they say about Cat is true. He'll score 30, and you won't know where it went. So I really personally believe, I'm curious what you think. I think that trade, losing Hartenstein, losing DiVincenzo, to me,
the train was heading towards real title contention, and I genuinely feel as a Western Conference guy, that took them a ways away, and that's a contract that they're stuck with.
Yeah, they lost iHeart just, to free agency. They couldn't pay him as much as OKC, but the trade to go get Cat because you lost iHeart, right? Now you don't have a center. Mitch is hurt. You have to go get a big. That trade, giving up Randall and giving up DiVincenzo, completely changed the identity of your team. A lot of us thought, hey, we're going to get to see that team that they had in January, February of last year go at it again. And no, they made another remodeling. They made another alteration. And as great as Cat can be, it is a different squad. And Karl Anthony Towns has to.
It really was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess they did what they had to do. And the word was that they were working on a Cat trade for a while. But like I said, like all year, I'm like, it's too short of a time for this team to come together and beat some of these teams. And like, look at the jump that the Cavs made as a team with a few players that have played together, but they got the right coach.
Yeah. Now, I want to make a quick point about the Yankees because I really thought it when you brought up Garrett Cole again, and you brought up what it's like when he pitches. You think that we're going to win when Rodon pitches. There's one move the Yankees can make, and I don't want to wait till the trade deadline. I want to set the tone for the season right now. I don't care what it costs. We haven't had a give him the farm. We haven't had a prospect of Aaron Judge that made a real difference. Go get Sandy Alcantara right now. Right now. Go get him. Shut everybody up. Beat them to the punch. Don't wait for it in pass swing. Walk in there and say, hey, we've dealt with each other before, Florida. What do you want? Short of Aaron Judge, let's talk. That changes the narrative from the get-go and sets the tone. What do you think?
Yeah, I would love for that to happen. And thank you for the call, Bob. But I'll say this. Sandy Alcantara, everybody wants him. And I don't think the Miami Marlins are in a rush to move him today, not next month. They're going to wait till the deadline. Why not? Why not hear from everybody? Because what they're asking for back from that guy that I think has 2 years of control, he's 30, like they're trying to replenish their farm with top talent. And the Yankees, the Yankees do have a history of working with the Marlins, sure. Jazz Chisholm last year, John Birdie last year. But, like, there's a Yankee tax. So they're asking you for George Lombard Jr. We're not doing that. And I hear what you say, Judge is the only prospect that worked out. But, like, the Yankees had some guys that played. And they have some guys playing right now that are prospects that are contributing at a high level. And you know what? Another team that's going to be very interested in the services of one Sandy Alcantara, and they've been vocal about it. Juan Soto spoke on it. Starling Marte spoke on it. Francisco Lindor spoke on it. And David Stearns is the type that I think that a trade for that kind of pitcher that they can't, if they feel like this Mets team is a team that can win this year or next year and they want to go for it, that's a trade that Stearns probably tries to make. 888-808-1019. Troy is in Ronkonkoma on the Fan. What's up, Troy?
What's up, Keith? I just want to talk about Clay Combs. 10 Ks. Is it something to get excited about for the first time in his career?
I think it is. I think there's so many people that are rooting for him to fail and not be able to transition into being a starter. It was rough. And, like, I keep comparing him to Rodon, right? A couple mistakes in the beginning of the game. He pushes through that, and he has a career high in strikeouts, and he gets his stuff going. A guy like Carlos Rodon, who's been a starter for all of these years, if that would have happened to him in the first inning, it would have been, woe is me. I didn't get some calls. I walked some guys, a couple small ball hits, put 2 runs on the board, and he's got this look on his face. And Clay is not like that. Clay, from watching Clay today, I'm like, this is a good sign.
Is this a guy who is it dumb for the Yankees to not have put him in a starter?
No. I couldn't wait to never see him pitch for the Yankees again. No. What I think it is the Yankees wanted to turn him into a closer coming off of Aroldis Chapman, and they did for a while. I think he like tied Mariano's record. He had something like 29 or 30 scoreless innings. It worked for a little while, but it's not dumb for the Yankees to have let him go. The Yankees weren't going to pay him even what the Mets paid him, which is going to look like a steal of a deal. And I don't think the Yankees were trying to turn him into a starter. That was the Mets idea. And, like, this guy has quote unquote stuff, right? He can throw a sweeper. He could throw a slider. He could throw a changeup. But, him and Sanger today said, hey, Just throw the four-seam fastball, right? And that's what got him through.
Yeah. All right. Well, got Uncle Stevie's workshop is working overtime.
I mean, it's all working in concert. Thanks for the call, Troy. The money and vision of Steve Cohen. And like I said, this is part my nightmare, but also what I know is reality, right? I said this 2 years ago. I said, this is the end of the LOL Mets. They're going to be good. You're not spending all of this money. You're not hiring these people. You're not changing the culture and the office and all these things and rebranding to be trash. It would be kind of crazy if they weren't good. Like how do you keep, there'd be some type of cosmic energy, some type of Mets curse for them to not be good. But when you have the richest owner in the sport, so you got the richest guy in the room, and then you add David Stearns, the smartest guy in the room, who is used to working with less. Now he's got the wallet. Now he's got the cash. A guy like Jeremy Hefner, and then star players that you can count on, that like they answer the call. Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Juan Soto. Like, you know how dumb it was today? I'm listening to them intentionally walk Juan Soto to get to Pete Alonso. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, all right, the Marlins, this is their second series against the Mets. And maybe this Clayton McCullough is trying to get fired or something. Maybe he wants to get out of Dodge. But I'm like, this is your second series against the Mets. You watch what Pete Alonso did in that last game in your building, right? Even today, he had it was a very, very Marlins looking highlight, right? The ball gets trapped in the sun. Today, with the game being changed, they had to deal with the weather, the wind, the shadows. But the ball gets lost in the sun, it drops, and Pete is running, and that scores one. What? Why are you trying to face Pete Alonso? That's disrespect. Pete's been balling. This is paid Pete Alonso. This is papered up Pete. He's coming through. I guess you're going off of just the generational Juan Soto and the fact that he's got the largest contract in the history of sports. But that's foolish. He made you pay. You're walking Juan Soto to get to Pete Alonso. I mean, the Mets offense came alive today. The pitching was great today. Just everything's going right for the Mets. Josh is in Passaic on the Fan. Welcome back, Josh.
Yo, Keith, what's doing? I'm actually just headed down to Florida right now. That's where I'm at right now. How you doing, man?
Hey, I mean, I don't know what the weather's like down there in Florida, but have a good time, enjoy it.
Yeah. I know when we first took off, the plane was blowing like it was on a glitch or something, but when we landed, it was all smooth.
Yeah, well, good, man. Have a good time down there. You're gonna be keeping up with your Mets?
Oh, of course. And and I was getting, I'm on the chat. I was getting updates from the Mets game as going on. The crazy thing was, at some point, I took my brother Shaver one of the suitcases, and someone got turned on, and real security, the thing started buzzing like nuts. Then everyone's staring at me like, I gotta take care of that. But it was pretty funny. Anyway, so looking at this Mets game, everyone with the Clay Holmes, yeah, he's playing well. It's just very funny with this whole career best strikeouts. Like, obviously, the guy's never pitched more than 2 innings before this year. It's nice to see that 10 strikeouts. Like, the boys got to calm down on this.
Why do you got to calm down? This is a lottery ticket, right? Right now it's hitting. This is a guy that you took a flyer on.
But they should be more focused on 10 strikeouts, not career high. Career high can never pitch never face more than 10 batters.
But it's still valid. Like, your career high is your career high.
I don't mind if they bring up, any pitcher. They bring up Sproul gets 2 strikeouts, career high strikeouts. You guys all crazy. Let's focus on 10 strikeout play.
Well, now the bar is set for Clay Holmes. Now he's got to go out there and strike out 11 at some point.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, with the Marlins, they wonder why they tend to off Soto. I mean, I think whoever the manager's mind is, I think he's going 2 ways. Number one, he hopes for he can tell Porters that he hopes for line hit the ground, a ground ball to double play or something. But I think the real thing is look at their lineup. I don't recognize one name on the entire lineup. I don't know if that's bad on me or bad on them. But I can tell this.
Nobody knows these guys. We're learning about Xavier Edwards.
For the facing Pete Alonso, who, if you want to look up his stats, the team he does the most damage on, and how even though last year he wasn't that good, his stats are still fluctuated. It's against Miami. They're trying to lose, and we'll take all the wins they want to give us. We're very happy coming to us, and it's amazing. I remember when Naya and Frankie Montas went down, everyone was talking about getting the new pitcher. And I remember I told you, like, the schedule is pretty easy. In the beginning of the year, there's no need to get another pitcher. Just wait for these guys to come back. And so far, it's working amazing, Keith. So thanks for taking my call. Rough Devils game, but no, at least we got that game versus the Rangers on Saturday. Have a great night.
Thanks for the call, Josh. When drop that again, what was that? Is that Beningo's voice? I'm not familiar. I have no idea what that's from. You got to enlighten me on that, Rami. I'm like, what the hell? What is it? Did he say? Did Josh say something like that? No, I didn't think that at all. Pause. Anyway, with the Mets fans, I understand the trepidation. I understand the fear of not getting too excited. I understand Mets fans and Mets haters are saying, relax, it's the Marlins. What I'll tell you is it's baseball. It doesn't matter that it's the Marlins, right? The Marlins came out and beat the Pirates. They had to walk them off to do it, to take 3 out of 4 in that first series. But you just saw the Yankees lose to the Pirates, and that started their 3-game losing streak. It's baseball. You can't tell me the Marlins aren't trying. They just had a catch of the year candidate. Their center fielder went Superman to catch a ball. He's not trying. Like, you think these players on the Marlins are trying to lose? Some of them are trying to get out of there. Xavier Edwards wants to get out of there. Wants somebody to trade for him and put him on a contender. So I don't know. I just don't look at it like that. These guys are professional athletes. How much do we talk about teams not tanking in football? Maybe the Marlins organization is trying to lose. That's why they don't spend any money. That's why they don't go out and get free agents. But these players are trying to make names for themselves. These players are trying to – the Marlins battled back in this game where they could have packed it up. 888-808-1019. When we come back, we'll go from the Mets to the winter Mets. We got a lot of Knicks calls. The Knicks are the winter Mets. We'll get to some of the Knicks calls when we come back from this next break. Time is flying. It's almost 12. Keith McPherson on the Fan. We'll be right back. All right, just a lot floating around here. Just trying to center and lock in on this. All right, so we'll do Big Shot when we come back. Let me make sure it's the right beat. Actually, fuck it. I'm gonna do it up. All right. I still got a Big Shot segment to do. Trying to clear this chat a little bit. The Nets have their coach. They just need to get some like star players. CJ, what up, man? You gonna admit that Jason Tatum is the biological dad of the Knicks? Sure. Child abuse? Reggie Miller said it's child abuse. Mikal Bridges is his whole son. Yeah, rest in peace. That was a unfortunate story. I haven't brought it up yet. I'll do it at the end of the night. Yeah, like a ceiling collapsing is crazy. Bazooka Joe, baby. Yeah, I said what? I think that had to be Stephen Jones. I was not expecting that. I'm like, good, man. Boom, Bazooka Joe. James Wood is mashing. Eventually, I'll get to the out-of-town scoreboard. I think my guy, Frank Luna, might have been connected to James Wood. I got to put together 3 segments if I have time to get to them. If not, like they're not mandatory, you know. Big shot, tell me something cool, and out of town scoreboard. No, there was another player, not James Wood, that my guy Frank Luna was connected to with the Nationals that used to be with the Yankees. The Mets are rolling, but I am concerned about the offense. Today was a day not to be concerned about the offense. You know, today was a day where the offense came through. Okay, he went to high school with his dad, Kenny Wood. All right, 21-4 home runs and wins versus home runs and loss. Yeah, Bronx Bombers struggling, man. See, Chris Porzingis turned back the clock. Jalen Brunson, second game back. Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to send this to Rascona right now. Send. Brian Rascona. Send that. And then let me see any of my beats. You go to the drive. Rejoin beats. Share. Got it. Okay. Gabe, yes. I haven't been keeping up with him, but I know he mashed against us last year. I was confusing him. Tired, man. Too many different sports. Tommy Pham? Because it was cold, he had a baddie. If he had to get the ball and throw it, I'm sure he could have. Okay, let's get these Knicks calls in then. KM to AM, keep McPherson on the fan. A lot. We're not talking about Drew Timmy right now. But we had to use the Timmy drop before Rami gets out of here. 888-808-1019. The Knicks lose 119-117 to the Celtics, but you can go to sleep tonight feeling better about the fact that they competed, and maybe this can turn into a series if we get the series in the second round. Matt is in Manhattan. Matt, you're on the fan.
Over against the top 3 teams in basketball.
They just took that over into a game tonight against the Celtics at home, with the Celtics having nothing to play for and missing one of their starters the whole second half. And the Knicks still lost. And I don't care that it was an overtime. They lost. It's another one to add to the over. This is not a problem of matchups. The Knicks fans seem very fond of talking about the Celtics in terms of matchups. You use the term matchups when like the talent level is about the same, but there's some maybe inefficiencies here and there. They're not as good as the Celtics. They don't have the Celtics talent. They're going to play the Celtics probably 2 more times this year with nothing to play for. Well, one will be in a week, one will be down 0-3, and winning either one of those isn't going to make me feel any better. I don't feel like they have any chance to win a series, a 7-game series. They play the Celtics. I don't feel like they have any chance to beat the Cavs. 7-game series. And I don't have any problem with the personnel experiment the Knicks did this year. I look at it similarly to Jets getting Aaron Rodgers. He took a shot. Didn't work this year. It might work next. But this year, I don't like the prospects going forward.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Yeah, I think that is, taking the glass half empty, half full, whatever. It doesn't matter what the glass is. Just looking at the glass, this team is competitive. They're one of the top teams, but they can't beat the top teams. The personnel is what it is. It's not about the matchups. They just don't. They don't have enough to match up, but that doesn't mean that they can't in years to come, that this can't change. They took a swing at it. They did what they had to do with what they had. And I mean, it is what it is. You can only go off of what you have, right? And what we have is, again, the Celtics, whether, the Celtics have beat them without Porzingis, they beat them without Tatum. And yeah, however you want to look at it. I mean, if you're a fan of the Knicks, you're probably going to look at it as, okay, they competed, that, that's the bright side of things. But also the reality is you lost in overtime. You had them in regulation. Shouldn't let them tie it, but they found a way. Jack is in Lakewood on the Fan next. You got it, Jack.
What is up, my man? Long time listener, first time caller.
Thanks.
Yes. So I want to talk. I think Tom Thibodeau, he is a great coach. I love him, but he just keeps on coming up small in big moments. This is when a team is coming up small in a big moment. That all points to the coach. They're just not making the right plays in those big moments. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, and that is a sign of a better prepared team. That is a sign of a team that has been in those big moments, and obviously the Celtics as champions have. It's a chess match, right? And they can't beat them in chess.
And also, Keith, I want to tell you that I think you are way too nice to those Met fans. I'm just listening to Tommy Lugauer. What he has to say about us Yankees, I'm sorry. I think you are just way too nice to those Met fans. Have a great night.
Thanks for the call, Jack. I'm not Tommy, though. You know what I'm saying? Tommy, his shtick, how he does his thing is how he does his thing. I'm not competing with Tommy. I'm not trying to be the counter to Tommy. I do troll Mets fans online. Online is different. When I do get on the radio at night, I'm the first one that gets to react to what we saw. I'm the first one that gets to speak on the games that happen to our New York teams. If the Mets lose and embarrass themselves, then they get trolled. They get laughed at. But the Mets are playing really good. And it's not that I'm being nice to Mets fans. I'm being fair to the game. I'm being fair to what I'm seeing. And when I'm writing my notes, I'm not writing my notes thinking about how am I going to get on air and get a rise out of Mets fans, because I don't need to do that. I think I get respected for being able to look at the game and talk about the game, whether it's Mets or Yankees. I think I'll get more respect. And I know I'm like, this is year 4. I've been doing this for a minute. Like anyone that tries to take my internet persona and compare it to radio, it's completely different. I said to somebody on the internet the other day, does this look like a radio? Like the way you play Twitter, which is a fake place, the negative sells on Twitter. You're going to get way more responses and interactions on Twitter with the negative. But like, I don't have to play into the big brother, little brother thing. The games have begun. It's one thing in the offseason to, do all of that, to kind of, create chatter and back and forth and drive calls. We have games. This is what we've been waiting for. I've been watching and listening to these Mets games. They're playing really well. Now, could it just be that they're facing the Marlins and the Blue Jays? Sure. Maybe they come back down to earth when they play some better teams, when they go on the road, whatever. All I'm saying is, like, it isn't a matter of being nice. It's about being professional. And, like, I get paid to do this. So when I'm the first person on at night talking about the Knicks, talking about the Mets, talking about the Yankees or the Devils or the Rangers or whatever, the angle, there doesn't have to be an angle when there's a story. I don't know if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Pat is in the Bronx on the Fan. What's up, Pat?
Hello, Keith. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it.
Now, what exactly are the Marlins thinking? Have they been reading the box scores? Putting a man on to face Pete Alonso?
It was odd. I just was like, bold strategy, God. No, I don't.
Just based on the first week, the man has hit a grand slam. He's hit a 3-run homer, and you want to face him?
He's one of the leaders in runs batted in. You want the bases loaded for that guy?
What are you afraid Toro's going to do? The worst Toro can do if he pitch carefully is walk anyway. So why do you put him on automatically? It's ridiculous.
I said the manager must want out. He must want to get fired. He must look at his roster and be like, I can't win with these guys.
We saw the beginning of the year. What did we say? We said the Mets pitching is going to let us down. The bats are going to put up 10 runs a game, but the pitching is going to let up 11. Now look, we have the best ERA in the major leagues. I mean, short of that Brazovan outing today, we have one of the best ERAs in the major leagues, and that's the shock that the pitching actually works. And Jeremy Hefner, who was a fifth or sixth starter when he played for the Mets, apparently has the baseball acumen of a great pitching coach to get these guys to perform much better than they had in previous teams and previous locations.
Yeah, you're missing two guys that you paid in Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea. You're getting a lot out of your rotation, and you're getting way more out of this bullpen than anybody expected. You can't predict baseball, right? Nobody thought it would be the other way around. All the hype was about the lineup, and the lineup responded today with a 10-run game. They had one last week when they needed it, but ultimately the story here is Jeremy Hefner, this pitching lab, and David Stern's ability to find talent and get the most out of it. Thanks for the call, Pat. We're up against it here. It's already 12 o'clock. So I've got 2 hours left. I'll say good morning on the other side. We got to do big shot of the night. We got to do tell me something cool. We got to go to the out-of-town scoreboard. But I want to talk to the Knicks fans. So let's break it down. When we come back, we'll continue to talk Knicks before we get into anything else. KM to AM, Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll be right back. Okay, I was already there. Any news for Tibbs getting fired tonight? Hell no. But I will speak on that because of Mike Malone and obviously Taylor Jenkins. They beat us without Horford. That's a fact, too. I did have a call about that. I hope the Yankees start waking up again. Keith, they will. It's just been cold. Cat looked like he was going for 60, and Tibbs did not make plays for him. Unexcusable. Keith, you're a great host. Been listening to WFAN since its inception. Plus, you're a Cowboys fan. I did not know when, the Cowboys won that Super Bowl that I watched as a kid that I would be on WFAN one day. But I'm going to leave that there while I go to break because I don't think that's a negative, It makes me a little different.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti, and this report is brought to you by New York State Tax Department's Direct File program. Nice rally in the fourth, but in the end, another failed test for the Knicks, turned aside by the Celtics, 119-117 in overtime, as Kristaps Porzingis burned his former club with 34, Jason Tatum 32, including a game-tying three, which is 2.9 remaining. 34 points, 14 rebounds. Karl-Anthony Towns, 27, 10 assists for Jalen Brunson, but the Knicks fell to 0-4 against Boston for the season. Nets finished off the Pelicans 119-114. Pete Alonso made the Marlins pay for intentionally walking Juan Soto, broke the game open with a 3-run double in the sixth, as the Mets overpowered the Marlins 10-5 to push their win streak to 6. Clay Holmes notched his first Mets victory, allowed 4 runs over 5 1/3 with 10 Ks. Tarek Skubal shut the Yankees down over 6. Tigers silenced the Bombers 5-0. Carlos Carrasco put the Yankees in an early hole, gave them 4 runs in 4 1/3. Bruins, they rolled the Devils 7-2, and the Predators outscored the Islanders 7-6 in overtime. 36 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, and that's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Of course. Good morning. Good morning. In there. As we proceed to give you what you need. It's April 9th, just that fast. Time is flying by. Before you know it, yo, it'll be Memorial Day weekend. We'll be into another summer. 888-808-1019. We can't fast forward that quickly. The Knicks got to get into the playoffs, and we got to see what they have. I'm live right now, and I'm always usually live on video on my YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. And there's some, good thoughts in the chat. Like someone said in the chat, like as we're talking about, the 4 games that the Knicks have played against the Celtics, like, the Knicks have faced the Celtics without Kristaps Porzingis. They faced the Celtics without Porzingis and Drew Holiday. Tonight, they faced the Celtics without Al Horford and Jaylen Brown only for half the game. So it's like, and when you think about where we are in the season, what are the Celtics trying to prove? They're just trying to prove that, they are the dominant team and that the Knicks can't beat them. And again, they did that. So Knicks fans, call me up. We've got a bunch on the line. Let me know how you feel coming off that game. Does that give you a feeling of hope that, you can hang with these guys, that potentially in a series you can rock with them? Or does that give you a feeling that, like, no matter what we do, Tatum is going to find a way, Porzingis is going to find a way? It doesn't matter if it's Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, Pritchard, Hauser, White. Like, they just got too many guys. Lou is in Astoria on the fan. What's up, Lou? No problem.
Geez, I feel different about the Knicks. Before we play the Celtics, I never had really no hope that they'll ever have a chance playing this Celtics team. But tonight, I got convinced that if you put pressure on them, they're hard. We just have no problem with him. He's a hard player. He plays very hard. If we didn't miss those 12 free throws in a row, and then turn the ball over a couple of times, and KP is not going to happen. That was incredible. It was like video. He was every way he shot the ball and went in. You know what? When it comes to the playoffs, you never know. I know the Celtics are the champion. I'm not taking anything away from them. But I tell you what, even though, like you said, Brown didn't play the entire game, that gave KP an opportunity to make those long shots. It was incredible. I couldn't believe it. But what did you do before I went to the Yankees here play?
Oh, well, I mean, I just think that they've got so much firepower. They've got so many weapons. They also have experience together. They just won the championship. Like, they don't fear the Knicks. They've blown the Knicks out. And then even when the Knicks gave them the shot that they gave them tonight, where Towns was balling, you got Brunson back, they still were able to say no. In this chess game, we've always got to move to one up you and see it through, and they got the win.
Absolutely, but I think that game could have gone either way. I think it was pretty tight. So anyway, on the Mets, real quick, yeah. When it came to Soto, okay, I have no problem the Mets working Soto to pitch to Alonso, which at any time today. I mean, this year, okay, he's on a roll, okay, he's doing terrific, but it has a double play to happen. I mean, Soto, it's come on. I mean, you're not going to pitch to Soto when you know the guy's going to be a pain in the ass, and he's gonna make contact, and I don't have no problem with that. Now, you had a call named Josh. They call you about Clay Holmes. Now, why would everybody getting excited about he's striking out 10 batters when he only pitched a couple of innings? He was a starting pitcher in the minors. Can you tell him that? Only the Yankees made him a reliever. So I mean.
Yeah, but even when he came over from the Pirates, he was coming out of the bullpen. I still think it's impressive.
He was a starting pitcher in the minor leagues, okay? He has the experience, okay? So that's what I want to tell you. You will tell Josh the next time he call you that this is a miracle. No, the guy's used to it. You take it.
Thanks for the call, Lou. I can't see you. Brett Beatty has experience in the minors. Brett Beatty crushed in the minors. He's used to hitting. What's up with Brett Beatty? Like, I can't do that. I can't go back, I don't know, 6 years and be like, Clay Holmes pitched in the minors as a starter. He's used to it. No, he's not. Why do we do that, man? Why can't we just take somebody that goes out and strikes out 10? There was something I clipped in my notes, bro. There was an inning. Clay Holmes struck out the side on 10 pitches in the 4th inning. He was 1 ball away from an immaculate inning. Anthony DiComo put that out there. I was listening to it, right? I was so impressed with the way that Clay bounced back from that 1st inning and just started filling up the zone and striking guys out and started actually pitching like a starter. And this is a guy that would just blow it and explode in 1 inning in the 9th last year. So his career high at 10, it might not be impressive to you, but it's not easy to do what this guy just went out there and did. I get it's the Marlins, but I don't get why we always want to reduce these guys' feats. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. Like, this guy locked in today and was masterful after an inning where, some small balls, some walks got the Marlins on the board. And you know what? Like, Lindor comes up and just blasts the ball, second deck, gets them going. And the lineup all the way came through today. Why do we have to minimize Clay Holmes? Is it because of Lou is a Yankee fan. Josh is a Mets fan. So it's not like a rivalry thing. Why can't you just say that this guy has made the transition from being a closer to he lost his closer job last year? That's tough on a guy. He made the transition from being a closer to being a, high leverage reliever to now being a starter for the Mets, and they're down a couple starters, and he goes out there today. He goes 5 1/3, gives up 5 hits, 4 runs, walks 3, and I think 2 of those walks and 2 of those hits were in the 1st inning, where after that he completely locked in and shut it down. Why can't we just give him credit for his career high 10 strikeouts, which it's not like guys go out there every outing. Do you guys gamble, right? Like, when you go and look at the strikeout props, the over and under is usually at 4, maybe 5. So it is impressive to me that Clay Holmes went out there and struck out 10. If anybody bet on Clay Holmes striking out 10 today, it was probably, I don't know, plus 500, plus 400. 888-808-1019. Still talking about the Knicks, though. Still talking about the Knicks game. And I mean, I don't know. I was looking at an account online that, these Celtics fans in Boston, if you were listening to WEEI right now, I wonder how they're talking about the Knicks. The Knicks are 0-9 against the top 3 teams. And even if that's their best shot, right, they still lost the game in overtime to a Celtics team that did not have Jaylen Brown on the floor and did not have Al Horford. They're the defending champs. Jason Tatum is having his way. Kristaps Porzingis absolutely had his way. Like, I don't know what else there is to say. John is in Muncie on the Fan. You got it, John.
Hey Keith, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
So after this game against the Celtics, my confidence level went from 40 to like maybe 90% if we play the Celtics in the playoffs.
90% what? That you can not get swept, or 90% that you can beat them in a series?
At least compete, you know?
At least compete. So maybe it goes 6 games. Maybe you can take a game.
Yeah, something crazy, yeah. Maybe take a game and maybe even win the series.
Well, good, because that's business, right? That's part of them selling tickets. That's getting people to watch. You don't want the fans to think, all right, we survived the first round, we get in the second round, we don't have a shot. That's what I was saying tonight when I started the show. It's glass half full for a lot of Knicks fans. All right, that was a loss that didn't feel like the other Celtics losses. Now you feel like you could compete with them in theory in a series.
Yeah, because we've been losing by like 20-something every game, and all of a sudden we come out and like going to lose by 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, playoff basketball is completely different, and I'm scouring the internet for post-game things. And like the NBA world is looking at it differently than the Knicks are looking at it. They're looking at it as like, okay, y'all played them tough, but this is the end of the year. What are they? They're just out there hooping. What are they really playing for? Like, they can turn it up another notch, and they have more enforcements. They have more bodies that they could throw at you that they didn't throw tonight.
Yeah, because the Knicks and the Celtics are both locked in the 2 and 3, so this game didn't really matter.
Right. And so, like, I guess you could be foreshadowing. I guess you could be, you could be looking at this preemptively. I don't know. I don't think it's that much of a good thing. Thanks for the call, John. Like, okay, there's a tweet right now. Joe Mazzulla talking in the locker room. He's got his hands in his hoodie, talking to the team very casually. He's like, it's good to be in a close game like that. I thought we turned up the physicality and competitiveness, and it also left us like 20 possessions that we can get better at. Like, they're looking at that as like, all right, whatever. It's good. It's good to be in a close game like that instead of blowing them out every time. We can get better. We'll go and watch the film on this. Oh, glad that y'all turned up the physicality and competitiveness at the end, because it wasn't there in the beginning of the game. Let's see. There's the Celtics post-game show. Who is this? Eddie House on the post-game show? Yeah. Eddie House is speaking on a Celtics post-game show. He says the Knicks are coming out thinking we made it tough for them. We have an opportunity to beat them in the playoffs. They can't beat us. That's what they proved for me. We're just too deep. They run their guys into the ground. They don't have enough. That's like, so this is what I'm saying. In Boston right now, they're looking like there's no way. And so I'm saying, if your confidence is up that you won't get swept, or your confidence is up that you can get a game. I don't know how you could have any confidence that the Knicks could actually beat them in a series. Maybe you have confidence that you're not getting swept in 4 games, maybe a gentleman's sweep. Maybe you could take it to 6. Eli is in New Jersey on the Fan. Go for it, Eli.
Hey, I'm not talking about the Knicks game today. I'm talking about the Knicks after the season.
Okay.
What would you think about the Knicks getting like a guard, like let's say like Desmond Bain?
The Knicks getting Desmond Bain, and who would they give up for Desmond Bain? And where do you think that Desmond Bain improves? The starting 5, or I don't know, Desmond Bain. I don't know. Walk me through where Desmond Bain is the move to make.
They don't really have a shooter on the floor. Besides for Carl Anthony Towns, they don't have a shooter on the floor.
So, yeah, I mean, you have Mikal Bridges, who you thought could shoot, and not really.
No.
So,
Not consistent.
and who would you give up for Desmond Bain, to add Desmond Bain to this team? That's another trade. That's another move that changes the complexion of the team.
You just got to figure it out.
And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Desmond Bain is the answer. Thanks for the call, Eli. I'm not thinking about Desmond Bain at all right now. Desmond Bain, he's got a little like muscle hamster in him. He's a little muscle bound type guy. He's tough. I know he can shoot. He averages like almost 20 points a game. I don't think that's the answer here. You need more length. Pause. You know, I know he's 6'5", but he's not the type of I think you need who can defend these guys. I wouldn't be thinking. I guess you need another shooter because it's like OG, not really. Karl Anthony Towns, Brunson. So you're looking for a two guard that can actually shoot, but I don't know if it's Desmond Bane. 888-808-1019. But hey, I'm here for random thoughts and calls, but I don't think after watching that game today, the Knicks are going to say we got to go out and get Desmond Bane. But I also think it's because didn't Desmond Bane drop like 30 points or 30 something? I got to go to the scores and whatnot. It might just be, front of mind because of what you saw. Let's see. John Morant had 28. I think didn't a couple games ago, Bane go off for like 30-some point. It doesn't matter. The Knicks aren't going to go get Desmond Bane. They got to keep with this group and see it through another year and figure out how to match up better against the Celtics. Yeah, Desmond Bane now has the third most games in Grizzlies history with 35-plus points. On April 5th, he had 38. Anywho, Nick is in Cleveland on the Fan. Is this a Cavs fan calling into the Fan in New York?
I'm getting to go into enemy territory, right? Thanks for taking the call.
Welcome.
I'm enjoying the show. Listen, the power of a 50,000-watt blowtorch that you guys have, I'm getting you on 6:60 a.m. in the car driving home from work.
Oh, awesome.
I listen to Yankee games sometimes on the West Coast. I'm like, this is perfect. So the Cavaliers tonight, they locked up the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. I thought this would be unique, getting your perspective, having seen a ton of the Celtics, having seen a ton of the Cavaliers, like where you stand on this Eastern Conference. Like, are the Cavaliers just this, regular season team that put a lot into it, that really isn't going to have a chance against the Celtics? I mean, we saw how they competed against the Knicks 2 years ago when they lost in the playoffs. It got physical, it got tough. I'm just genuinely curious, I guess you could call it an outsider view for me, going outside the Cleveland bubble. Where are you at on this Cavs team? I mean, I remember for years there were even some Hawks teams that were so good in the regular season. LeBron and the Cavs, they were in chill mode, and they would just sweep them come playoff time. I mean, where are you at on the wine and gold? And I'm just curious to pick your brain on it.
So I'm a Nets fan, and I was a big Kenny Atkinson guy. I love watching Kenny coach. I love the passion that he had, how he would get at refs. And I love what he did with the young guys that were on that Nets team. He basically got handed nothing and turned them into something. And I think he got better having to leave, right? Everything happens for a reason. And the course that he took, being with the Warriors, being with the Clippers, being on the bench, I think it prepared him for this. So if it ends up being Cavs Celtics and it's Kenny Atkinson versus Joe Mazzulla, I'm giving that coaching edge to Kenny Atkinson. And obviously the Celtics are the reigning champs, and they have the star players. They have Tatum. They have, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and even veterans like Al Horford and Drew Holiday, guys that have done it before. It's a young man's game. The Cavs are younger. And if the moment isn't too big for them, I think they're going to be hungrier. And how great is it that, out there in Cleveland, through all of the runs that LeBron had, that fan base, they're ready for playoff basketball. They have the home court advantage. They have the arena. Obviously, we know what the Celtics have in TD Garden, but I'm not going to say that, these guys are unproven. They haven't done it in the playoffs. They haven't done it. Why can't they? Why can't they go toe-to-toe with the Celtics in a series and maybe edge them out? I think the coaching advantage goes to Kenny Atkinson. And, I mean, even the move that they made to add Hunter at the deadline, I'm like, oh, man, these guys they're doing the right things. I don't know. I don't want to count them out. They're the one seed for a reason. They've had a hell of a year. I know the regular season is different than the playoffs, but I'm very interested to see how they match up against the Celtics, who are there every year, who, the Celtics failed to get to where they were. They got knocked out, and they had to become and really grow up. And, their core players, the Cavs have some core players too, and obviously some additions that they added. It's going to be a good matchup but I kind of like the Cavs. I have already been, on this radio station saying that I think the Celtics get there again, because it's like, how can you dethrone the defending champs after what they did last year? But I'm not going to write the Cavaliers off. I think the Cavaliers could get with them. We'll see.
Yeah, listen, that is great analysis. It's refreshing to hear that. I mean, just solid basketball talk. And the only thing I'll say in leaving you guys, I really enjoyed the show. It's amazing to me, 2 years ago, Cavaliers totally out physical by the Knicks. Knicks had their way. Tom Thibodeau coaching circles around J.B. Bickerstaff. I mean, it was unbelievable. And now, as I look at it, you see the Knicks, and probably going to be the 3 seed, but it's amazing the directions that both teams have gone. I kind of feel like the Knicks have
Who should be
taken a step back. Here's the Cavs now, the 1 seed. It's like 2 years ago, I would have never thought this was the case, because it just seemed like they were completely different classes. The Cavs and the Knicks, with the Knicks having the edge back then.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was just talking to one of my friends about how quickly things change, right? I remember Josh Hart making that corner 3 and reaching and popping Donovan Mitchell's chain. It was almost like the Knicks were punking the Celtics, bullying, or the Cavaliers. It was almost like the Knicks were they were just had the upper hand on them. And the difference a year makes with a couple personnel changes and the right coach.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
This is good stuff. I appreciate it. Great show.
Thanks for the call, Nick. The playoffs are going to be fun. It's a young man's game. You have 2 young teams as the 1 seeds, and then you have some veteran teams, on the West. You have some veteran teams that you're just who's going to come out of this? And then that brings me into something else, the news of yesterday, which I haven't spoken on yet. Mike Malone gets fired. And I just said the other night, someone was like, who's your final prediction? I'm like, I'm going to go Celtics Nuggets. Well, I'm not going Nuggets now. But when that came across the timeline today, I said, Shraggy, Scooby, what? Mike Malone supposedly lost the locker room, and there was a quote floating around about them saying oh yeah, they'd be coaches tripping, but they don't watch the film, they don't watch their minutes. Guys will say coaches tripping and nobody watches the film. So supposedly, I don't know. I don't know who did they talk to Jokic? But then right after we hear that Mike Malone is from this area. I think he's a New Yorker. Maybe where's Mike Malone from? Queens? Yeah, that just came to me, and Rascona just said in my ear he's from Queens. Anyway, right after that, Shams put out full clean out. The Denver Nuggets are also firing general manager Calvin Booth. So something is going on there. And then I went and did a little more digging, and I found from Yahoo Sports, the tension had reached a boiling point in Denver, leading to the firing of both Michael Malone and Calvin Booth. So the report said that the Nuggets players did not like the professional treatment of Jokic and Murray, 2 homegrown players that they drafted, developed, that are champions, that won. Nuggets ownership was against trading Michael Porter Jr., another guy. Do you remember me talking about the Knicks and how the Knicks have missed so much in the draft? And now their strategy has gone away from the draft almost completely, and they've traded away their drafted players. And I use the Nuggets as an example of a formula. And the Nuggets were able to win with players they drafted and developed, and then you add an Aaron Gordon. You know what I'm saying? You add a Bruce Brown. You add a Contavious Caldwell-Pope, some role players around a core of players that you drafted. So maybe and this is what it seems like, there's issues out there in the Mile High City with their core of guys that they drafted that are their guys that have never played anywhere else, that have won a championship there. But in the NBA, there's so much turnover with these teams, and these guys got to make decisions. So it goes on to say that the GM wanted Russell Westbrook benched. And then there's a tweet from Kevin O'Connor that says, absolutely nuts. Booth and Malone never liked each other. They rarely spoke to each other, and they talked behind each other's backs. So it was just an unhealthy environment between the GM and the head coach. And with the team struggling on the court, Nuggets ownership decided to fire both. I was leaning on Jokic. Jokic has had some insane stat lines this year and some insane games. And when you get to the playoffs, it is about the star players. They can take over games and series. That's what the NBA is. It's star driven. The role players matter, but for the most part, you're winning on the back of Giannis. You're winning on the back of Tatum. You're winning on the back of Nikola Jokic. You're not winning on the back of Jalen Brunson. You're not winning on the back of Karl-Anthony Towns. Maybe one day, but not this year. 888-808-1019. Let's take another call before we get to the break. Justin's in Florham Park on the Fan. What's up, Justin?
Keith, what's going on, brother?
Trying to, take these calls, talk the talk.
It's zero. And I repeat, zero chance. So I tell you right now, if they're playing the Pistons in the first round, mark it down today, they are not getting out in the first round. Who is stopping Cade Cunningham?
I don't know.
Okay, you see how OG plays defense? Okay, Tatum basically was guarded all over him and he still buried the shot. Why do they not foul when they're up 3 with like 7 seconds left?
Yeah, and when you just saw Tatum miss the free throw.
In the NBA. And this is why I hope they lose in the first round. I hope Dolan fires him, just like I hope he fires Laviolette with the hockey. But that's another story for another day. And we go from there. Because this team has no chance in Celtics. They'll be lucky to win a game. I wouldn't be surprised they get swept. Okay? They had no Brown tonight. They had no Horford tonight. Both guys who kill the Knicks over and over again. This guy, Fournette, who the Knicks had and cut. That's how terrible their management is. They don't even know they need a big guy. They let this guy walk, and this guy getting rebounds over everybody. And tell me the last time Josh Hart hit a big shot when he's wide open. The answer
He's not that guy. He did it against the Sixers last year. He's not that guy though.
And then they're lucky they beat the Sixers last year. If the referee knew how to call, and get the timeout that the coach called, they would have been out in the first round last year. Okay, so this team is going nowhere, Keith. And there's really nothing they can do because their contracts are terrible. Okay, they have no draft capital now because they traded 5 draft picks for Mikal Bridges, who's a waste. So this team, like you said, they're not going to win with Brunson. Your best player can't be a guy that plays no defense.
Yeah, and the little guys never win. Like AI didn't win. Steve Nash didn't win. You can go through all of these.
On the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas, when he won the MVP, he didn't win. So again, these little guys do not win. You're 100% right. Like I said, I think they play Milwaukee because there's one coach that's worse than Tibbs, and that's Doc Rivers. Championship with Celtics. That's still beyond me. I don't know how Kobe lost to that guy. One thing on the Yankees, and listen, I told you about a week or 2 ago, I'm not going to go crazy till 50 games, but Keith, this lineup is awful. Okay, they are. I don't know what's going on with this lineup. He keeps changing things.
I was about to say, which one?
Yeah, can we get like Rice leading off, like playing every day? Messing around with Rice, Goldschmidt, all this stuff. Goldschmidt's not a leadoff hitter. Okay, can we get
he was today. 3 hits today. It's just
I still don't like him in that role. I really don't. And I'm telling you, I know the price tag's going to keep going up and up, but they really got to try to get Arenado here because they're getting absolutely no production at third. I heard LeMahieu might be going out for assignment, but I'm sure he'll have a setback. They got to do whatever they can to get Arenado in here because they need one more stick. Because this team, and obviously going to need a pitcher because if we have to rely on Cookie Carrasco in July and August, we're in big, big trouble, Keith. Have a good night.
Thanks for the call, Justin. 888-808-1019. Just the other day, I clipped the Yankees have a 1.034 OPS from their 7 to 9 hitters. That was just I think it was Saturday. And that was the best mark in MLB. When we're talking about the lineup changes every day. The Yankees will probably lead the league in different lineups. They don't have one leadoff hitter. They rotate the DH. Bellinger has been out. So, you're going to get different lineups. Also with Peraza playing, right? They've kind of moved off of Pablo Lopez. It's Peraza and Cabrera. It's early in the season where they need to get this data and intel. They need to figure some things out. I'm not worried. I'm not panicking over the Cy Young winner in his building is freezing cold, going out there and they don't jump on him and then he shoves and then Cookie Carrasco gives up 3 cookies and it's just ding, 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 home run after home run in that inning. And then you're not going to win that game. You get shut out 5-0. 888-808-1019. When we come back, we'll do the big shot of the night. And we'll continue the calls on the Knicks, on the Yankees, on the Mets. This is Keith McPherson on The Fan. Stay with me. We'll be right back after this. Okay, so we'll play the cool thing is, oh man, sports, and sports. Let's see. Damn, no free shipping. Ain't nothing for free out here, man. This is the McPherson brand shirt, bro. I even have to pay for my own shipping. I don't even get them for free, you know. That's the logo. Let's see. I'll break down the logo for y'all. One day I'm gonna be famous, and when I'm famous, it all makes sense. So, McPherson brand logo. We're coming up on tourist season. So obviously the M is for McPherson. And when you think of like a brand, you know, like a brand, I should get the M branded on me, but you see the horns are for the Taurus. I am a Taurus, the bull. So it's like a play on words and my astrology, my sign. What's up, Keith? Carlos, good to see you again. I give Tatum's his props. He's dope, but he was hemmed up a bit with OG on him. Yes, the transition to having OG late in the game guard him was better than having Mikal Bridges guard him. Knicks just got healthy for the first time this season. They are learning to play together. Celtics have won championships together and always raise their game when they play the Knicks. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying about it. It's hard to just put this Knicks team together this year and be like, yo, go knock off the Celtics. Yeah, the KM to AM shirts. Let me see. Let me pull this up right here. I just sent my grandmother one for her birthday. Appreciate that. We got them in 3 different colorways. I just ordered this one for myself, which is, I think, my favorite colorway because we have the, it just looks like the road gray, like the Yankees colors. Let me see here. I just screenshot it real quick. Desktop, screenshot. You know, it's like for so long I wanted to make merch, but like I had to make a name before I could make merch. For so long I wanted to have something like wearable where people could support me. Now we got it, bro. Shout out to my guy Anthony, who works at MLB Network, made the logo. So I've got the McPherson brand logo, which is my LLC, my YouTube, and will be my overarching like brand and company. And then KM to AM is what you're listening to right now. The radio show. I come on, Keith McPherson, to the AM. The big shot of the night. The big shot of the night is brought to you by WFAN and myself, Keith McPherson. Bright lights, big city, bunch of big shots. I mean, the big shot of the night has to go to Pete Alonso. I just have been impressed with Pete Alonso. He's already racked up the most big shots of the night so far. I need to actually keep a tally of how many big shots we have. But yeah, with Pete, he's the big shot because they intentionally walked Juan Soto to get to him. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready for that. Pete is, I think, second in the National League with runs batted in. This is a guy that we just didn't see all of this coming, right? I don't think anybody did. Even with the postseason that he had, I think all of the conversation in the offseason where, some of his own fan base was saying, we don't need him. We want Vladdy. Don't pay him. Let him walk. We can put Vientos at first. No, you absolutely. Could you imagine? Juan Soto today was quoted by saying basically like, I know I have Pete behind me to do damage. Could you imagine if he didn't have Pete behind him? Pete Alonso today, just even with like the hustle he had on the ball that dropped in early in the game, 2 hits, 4 RBI, and he has crushed the Marlins. He has started off this season very well, and I knew that he would. I know I was saying that since he had the, prove it year last year and he didn't prove it, but the Mets still gave him $30 million. Now, a mulligan, no sweat off his back. Pete Alonso, big shot of the night. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the fan taking your calls. There's Knicks calls. There are Yankees calls. We will get into it all. Let's go to Tony in Montreal. Just because I talk to Tony every night. Tony's a regular caller, and I'm kind of partial towards Tony now. I'm good. How are you?
You remember we talked one time about Shadar, and you said that New York, I'm not saying that New York fans, like whether they're Jets or Giants, true football fans, didn't like him, but there's a lot of social negative media on him because he was a distraction. Remember that conversation?
Yeah. I do remember the conversation, but go on.
But like when the Jays signed Vlad Jr., there's no negativity coming from Boston or New York. There's no negativity in national press, nor was there any negative in social press. I didn't hear anything. It was like, okay, he got signed. Just like when we lost Soto, it was okay, he got signed. But it seems like Soto and Judge, it's the whole summer. Like it was like on the whole off season.
Oh, and it's going to go on. It's going to go on for years. Let's talk about it. I was talking about it the other night. Vladdy is a Canadian-born player. There's not that many Canadian-born players. Vladdy is your, homegrown superstar. And I think a lot of people, myself included, thought, I said, when they signed Alejandro Kirk, I'm like, why are you signing Alejandro Kirk when you were just negotiating with Vlad? I'm like, then this deal is getting done because they're not going to sign him and throw money at him and say, nope, we don't have any money for you. We're moving on. So I knew it was going to get done. And why there's no negativity from the outside, like, I think because it was inevitable, right? What we say a lot about the Blue Jays is like they did throw that $700 million at Ohtani. They did throw $700 million at Juan Soto. We're saying no one wants to take their money. No one wants to take their money. But Vladdy taking the money made sense. It's something that most people, I think, were like, yeah, and it's a slight overpay in the minds of most because we don't know if he's getting that hitting free agency. We don't know if he hits the market, if anybody else is getting him that. So we're not hating on that. We're like, that's your guy. You took care of your guy. We always kind of saw him as a Blue Jay. He'll finish his career as a Blue Jay, and they got to build around him. But as far as Juan Soto and the Yankees go, or the Yankee fans with him choosing to go to the Mets, it was colossal because most Yankee fans, myself included, were like, yo, we just went to the World Series with this guy. He got showered with praise, nothing but praise. He was boo-proof. No one ever booed him when he struggled, and he didn't struggle much. But what I'm saying? Most Yankee fans think there's no choice to make. Like Yankees or Mets. Why would you want to be a Met? And the fact that he took the money to become a Met, there are some Yankee fans don't care, but there are a lot of Yankee fans that feel some type of way about it. So now it adds to the rivalry where there are Yankee fans hate watching Juan Soto, hoping that he fails.
So when you say hate watching, like
Is it because he got the big payday? Is it because he turned his back on the Yanks? Or is it because of, he wanted to play with, like you mentioned once, I don't know if it was you or it was C-Mac, you wanted to go and play with the Dominicans, and hopefully they thought that, because, Vlad was a Dominican, they were going to, obviously come when it was time to come down there. I don't know. Do you think that's a component of it, or it's not?
It's compounded. There's a few layers of it, and it's not the same for everybody. For me, I just didn't like what Juan Soto said after. Like, just say you took the highest offer and there were so many perks and benefits that you couldn't have taken any other offer because you would have left that on the table. Just say you took that deal, bro. Like, don't come out and say you feel like in 6-7 years the Yankees aren't going to be good and there's a family environment and you feel better about the future over here and that it's always been a Mets town and once the Mets start winning we'll be able to see it. Don't give us all that. Just go ahead. Like, you were always going to the highest bidder. And you did. So just own that. That's my only issue with it. I don't care that he went to the Mets because I like at the end of the day when I came around on it, I'm like, this guy is a Boris client. He was here for a year.
Yeah.
Gone. So what you think he was lighting the fire on purpose, like to really give it to the Yanks because he
No,
you don't think so?
No, I think he was coached up by Boris, and a lot of things that you've heard him say have come from Boris. And I think there's been this whole campaign to save face, and I don't know why he's got to save face. Like, he popped up on a podcast to be like, the Mets weren't the highest offer. Yes, they were. Like, you got a suite, you got tickets, your mom got a clothing allowance, there's a security detail for your family. Like, all in, all things included, the Mets gave you the highest offer, and good, you earned it. You got good. Just own it. Don't try and make it anything more than it is or less than it is. Just admit it.
And he's being like a New York guy and Yankee fan, and you see the rivalry. How do you perceive the reaction when Vlad signed himself? Like when he signed the contract, I felt that he was quiet about it. He was happy about it. He said, "I'm taking care of my family, and I'm going to stay where I grew up." I don't know, just a different kind of approach.
No, it's more of a feel-good story. And you know what I thought? Two things. In spring training, they flat out asked Steve Cohen about Vladdy, and he spoke on it. He's not supposed to be speaking on other players. He's not supposed to be, talking about other players. And I forget exactly what he said about, Vladdy, but it's like some people were already like, whoa, tampering. I know that the Blue Jays heard that. And then on opening day at Citi Field, Vladdy got cheers as if he was in a Mets uniform. So I know that they heard that, like, hey, keep your eyes off our guy. And he signs and he stays. And it's a feel-good story because you know what? Like, we need talent across the board. We don't want to get to a point where the Dodgers have everybody. We don't want to get to a point where the Mets have the richest owner and they have everybody, or the Yankees, make the most money so they have everybody. We want there to be a competitive balance. We want there to be superstars everywhere. And the Blue Jays are Canada's team. Like, there was a point in time where they were good and winning. Maybe they'll get back there with Vladdy. I just don't think anybody hated on the deal outside of maybe it's an overpay. Maybe it's not. I don't think it's an overpay to keep your guy and to spend that money on your guy when we know that you put out offers for more for other guys.
So just to close this down, Montreal has a statue in front of the Olympic Stadium to Jackie Robinson, an icon in Canadian baseball to this day. And they still love Jackie Robinson in Montreal. And he got his start with the Montreal Royals and obviously then with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And the history of that. So, we love our athletes, whether they're from Planet X or they're Canadians. If they're great, we love them and we respect them. And that's why I said yesterday, people should respect Soto and people should respect Judge for the talent that they are. They are icons in the same class as Clemente, Stargell, and all the greats we talked about yesterday.
I'm right there with you. Thanks for the call, Tony. It's tough though. I swear the internet has changed everything. Like, the disrespect that people have for these players, I think a lot of it stems from online, what they read in comments, what they read on Twitter, memes, jokes, gifs, all these things. When I just was saying about Clay Holmes, we can't even give Clay Holmes the credit for 10 strikeouts in a career high because, oh, he's a closer or he was a reliever. It's not real. No, it's real. It's his career high. His career is not done. He's going to now try and top that 10 Ks. Why can't we celebrate that? I couldn't strike out 10 guys. You couldn't strike out 10 guys. Why are we minimizing that? Just like Judge. Judge is a ridiculous player, one of the best we've ever seen. But we're going to minimize his accomplishments because when the competition is the best, when the pitching is the best, when the stakes are the highest, he hasn't been what he's shown us at, the regular season. The bar that he has set for himself in the regular season, he hasn't been able to live up to his own standards in the postseason. So he gets mocked for that. It's ridiculous. Even Juan Soto. Yeah, we joke and laugh about Juan Soto's defense or so far his slow start, but it's not a slow start if he's getting on base and they're winning. Okay, he's not on pace for his, 45 home runs that you might want. So what? He's working his walks. He's getting on in front of guys. He's scoring. But because he signed the big contract, because he signed such a ridiculous deal, there are people that are Yankee fans and just baseball fans that are going to hate watch him and say he can never live up to that contract. It's going to be a massive overpay. I'm rooting for that guy to not be good. To each his own. Do whatever it is that you want to do to watch the game. If you want to be a hater, hate. If you want to I don't care. But we do got to respect some greatness. We do got to figure out some type of medium just to separate it. 888-808-1019. And with Vladdy again, Vladdy's contract $500 million. I don't know who else is getting it, but there's also ripple effects, right? Because I don't think people hated on it because it's okay, now Kyle Tucker. Now there's a lot more talk around Kyle Tucker. Now all of a sudden I'm seeing Kyle Tucker memes, Kyle Tucker wearing a Yankee uniform. Kyle Tucker is doing well for the Cubs so far. Maybe the Cubs want to try and keep him. But there are Yankee fans saying now we got to get Kyle Tucker. Where'd that even come from? It came from losing Juan Soto and then the Astros shopping Kyle Tucker. And they were never going to do the deal with the Yankee fans. But some Yankee fans started dreaming to the point where I literally heard people on WFAN saying Kyle Tucker was better than Juan Soto. That's not true. It's not true. I'm sure there's some stats you could cherry pick. I'm sure you could go to the MLB stats right now as I'm on it, right? Kyle Tucker has 16 RBI. I don't know how many Juan Soto has, right? Kyle Tucker also has more home runs. Kyle Tucker's not a better player than Juan Soto. He's not. He's a couple years older, and he's not. 888-808-1019. Back to the phone we go. We're still talking Knicks on the fan. My guy Alex is in Lakewood. What's up, Alex? You got it.
What's up, Keith? First of all, you're into the JETS just end the season. How about NETS? Nets never end the suffering.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I used to say now end the season. I just couldn't care less. I mean, the Nets won tonight, and they played good, and you're getting to see some guys out there hooping that you don't usually see. I didn't see your Milwaukee Bucks tonight, but while you mention it, how are you feeling about them and their playoff chances?
I don't think they're going to go that far, but I think the Bucks. The guy said that who's going to stop Cade Cunningham. If you have Cade Cunningham, you have a problem stopping Cade Cunningham, then you have a way bigger problem stopping Deion.
Facts. I mean, neither one is a lock.
Well, Dame Lillard might come back. That's what I'm getting. So if they could get through the first round, then Damian Lillard could come back. You never know.
Kevin Porter Jr. with 21 points off the bench.
Well, they were down 24. Went on a 24-0 run, a 34-3 run, and they came back and they won the game.
Interesting. Looking at the box score now.
Yeah, what about the Yankees? What, panicking already? There's their case that they lost a couple of games. It was freezing. Baseball is a summer sport. Wait for it to heat up. Wait for them to get. It's not supposed to be snow in the middle of a baseball game.
Hey, tell them, young man. Tell them.
And all the people are hating on the sports and all these stuff. It's legit men playing a child game, and you're just trying to be a negative. It's all entertainment. What's the point of spoiling other people's fun?
Yeah, for you to get a couple likes or retweets or you to get a rant off, it's just like, I don't know. I always try to remind guys, like, there are guys that are so critical of these athletes. You were never good at any sport at any time. There's no time on record that you were good, but you're so critical about what these guys could do. These guys are the elite of the elite.
And with the Jets, who do you think they should take? Armand Membo or Tyler Warren?
I think Tyler Warren, because all right, and I'm starting to see this, right? There was a point in time where it was Teteroa McMillan, and then people were like, all right, they added a couple receivers. You don't want to take a receiver that high.
If you take, I don't think you could take a wide receiver number one. You have Garrett Wilson. Number one, I think. Number two is Tyler Warren's the same good a receiver as Tyrone.
But that's where I was getting, right? So like now, if you're thinking about the kid out of Missouri, the tackle, who I saw a mock draft today that they had the Giants taking him that high. I'm like, please, the Giants cannot do that. But like, if they go Membu for blocking purposes, Tyler Warren can block as well. Why not get Tyler Warren, who you can have block and catch, and he's going to help Justin Fields?
This is what I think they should do, but they'll never do it. Get a defensive tackle. We saw what the Eagles did with their defensive line. Get Mason Graham. See what you could do with that line. Because you're not winning in the AFC if you have 500 more yards, a little bit of a better blocker. You need to build the offense. The offense.
But you have Quinnen Williams.
What?
You have Williams.
I know, and I want a second one.
You want another defensive tackle, right? But who's the top defensive tackle in the draft? Mason Graham.
Mason Graham.
He might not be there. There's
two guys from Michigan. I'm blanking on the other one's name.
Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
They might not. Well, Kenneth Grant should be there. Mason Graham might not be there.
Who's taking Mason Graham?
Tankathon has the Jaguars, but I've seen the Jaguars. Who knows what they'll do? They've taken some D linemen early here, and they have a young GM and a new head coach. Who knows we can't predict what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and in the second round, do you think there's any chance they take a quarterback?
I just don't think you need one. I think you got to fill positions of need with the top players that are there and available. Picking 42 overall, quarterback is not need. You have Justin Fields, you have Tyrod Taylor.
The problem is if anything happens to Fields, Tyrod Taylor is very injury prone, and then you have Jordan Travis who's coming off a major injury.
Yeah, but they don't think like that. They're not thinking about, like, if anything happens, let's use our second overall pick or our second round pick, If anything happens, then they go sign I don't know, somebody off the street. Like
if Trey Hendrickson, if he could get traded, I'm ready to give up Jermaine Johnson a second, whatever it takes to get Trey Hendrickson. He's most underrated. He should have won Defensive Player of the Year this year and last year.
Yeah, I don't know why. I have no idea why Cincinnati. I don't know why Cincinnati would want to not have that guy. Your defense was terrible, and he's one of the better players.
The owner doesn't pay for anybody, and he just pays for 3 players. So
yeah, so they just don't have the money for him. But they got Al Golden coming in from Notre Dame to be the defensive coordinator. You got to have some horses. You got to have some guys there for him.
Yep. Thanks, Keith.
Thanks for the call. 888-808-1019. Well, now in this last hour, we can start talking about the NFL draft. I still just the Giants can't take Shedeur Sanders anymore. So that ship has sailed. And now I'm seeing reports that Shedeur Sanders is meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the 21st pick, but they don't have to stay there. They can move up. And there's a lot of people attaching Jackson Dart to them. They need to take a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is walking down the beach in California taking his time. All right, I'm taking my time. And time is burning. I have an hour left, pretty much exactly, no less. So if you'd like to get on, dial 888-808-1019. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We're talking Knicks. I see a Devils call. Now we're talking NFL draft as well. Of course, if you want to say something about Carlos Carrasco and the Yankees lineup, or about Clay Holmes and the Mets lineup, we can do that too. Keith McPherson on the Fan. BRB. All right. Almost missed the last one. I didn't have my headphones in, and the music was coming back. I was talking to y'all in the chat. I was trying to figure out the T. I'm loving the shirt too. I'm definitely ordering one. Appreciate it. Appreciate all y'all. One day people are gonna wear your brand. Yeah, everything starts with little things that you put out there. Um, there was a time where I didn't have any followers. There was a time where I didn't get any views. There was a time where I wasn't doing sports conversation. There was a time where I didn't believe in myself. There was a time where I didn't think I was good. There was a time where I was scared. Like, you got to start somewhere. Um, the M is for Monmouth. Count it, sure. Monmouth County, why not? The M too. Also, the one of the first M's. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Dragon Ball Z, but like I wanted an M that looked like the Majin Vegeta M, but I was like, I can't jack them because I'm like, what if I get big? What if like my logo does blow up and I can't have let me see if I can pull this up. I can't have the Majin Vegeta M be my McPherson brand M, and they legally come after me, but I don't think they would. But who knows? Either way, I'm just a Dragon Ball Z fan. So when I first started thinking of M's, this was one of the M's that I was like, maybe I make the M look like this. But ultimately, I didn't go with that.
All right. So what you need coming back here? Just
So just any rejoin beat here, and then the next break, I'll tease the "Tell Me Something Cool" segment, and then we'll drop that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it.
Email that to me though.
Yeah, that sound is in the email.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this too when I come back. The Jets were rumored to be taking Brock Bowers last year, and they didn't. And then look at what Brock Bowers was with no quarterback. Like, he was one of the best receivers. Now he's a tight end. He broke records with no quarterback. He did that with Aiden O'Connell.
I'm here through the 4, and then I'll give you the
Desmond
5
Ridder.
update. So simple, you just have to play one that's pre-recorded, but I'll check with you before I leave.
Let me charge my MacBook. Put it back on.
Yeah, most people throw a lot of them on tape or whatever, depending on the night. But I'm here through the night, especially because I'm pulling the sound for Jerry. I need. Yeah, for me, it's the 5. Again, when people work for me, I don't know, but they don't have to worry about. He doesn't do the overnight. He doesn't do the overnight. Silos do. Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Jason Tatum drone a game tying 3. Game 3 of the game total 34 points. That is survived the Knicks 119-117 in overtime. Karl-Anthony Towns 34 points, 14 rebounds. Jalen Brunson 27 and 10 assists. This in just his second game back from the ankle injury. Now, the Knicks' magic number to clinch the 3 seed remains at 1, but they fell to 0-4 against Boston this season. Nets, they handled the Pelicans 119-114. Exactly what the Mets envisioned when they signed Juan Soto and brought back Pete Alonso. Soto, the intentional walk, led to back breaking 3-run double for Alonso. He knocked in 4. The Mets ripped the Marlins 10-5 for their 6th straight win. Now, Clay Holmes settled down after a rocky start, gave up 4 runs over 5 1/3, 10 Ks for his first Mets win. Tigers blanked the Yankees 5-0. Carlos Carrasco lit up for 4 runs over 4 1/3, including 3 homers. Yankees mustered just 6 hits. Bruins pummeled the Devils 7-2, and the Predators outlast the Islanders 7-6 in overtime. 35 degrees, clear skies, Central Park, and that's Saturday. I'm Marco Belletti.
Okay. Inside the 1 a.m. hour on the Fan in New York. It's April 9th, 2025. Don't read too much into the baseball. Maybe you could read more into the basketball because that is more complete. We're getting to the end here. I was watching a little bit of the Lakers game because I had a little parlay on Bron. Came up short. He didn't have enough assists tonight. He had 3 assists. Like, bro, I came up one rebound short. Anyway, no one cares about your parlays that lose. But I guess Luka got tossed for chirping with a fan. That's tough. I don't think they were beating OKC anyway. The Nets backups and young players helped them beat the Pelicans. Are the Nets still in the league? They are. The Nets world will be rebuilt. We'll see where that lottery ball bounces. But yeah, the quote coming out from the Knicks end of the game, we didn't do a good enough job. We didn't do a good enough job as players and coaching staff of understanding the situation and making sure we came out of the timeout knowing exactly what we're going to do. Basically talking about fouling Tatum on that last possession. I see my boy Dre put out a video saying that Tatum traveled. Yeah, I think we didn't do a good enough job as a team of understanding the situation. So that's the conversation around how the game ended for the Knicks. And I mean, if you let that happen in a playoff game, there will be outrage. Andrew is in Brooklyn on the Fan next. What's up, Drew?
What's good, man? Pleasure to be on. Pleasure to come in on from BRT. Appreciate you for having me.
Got it.
Yeah, listen, so with the Knicks, one thing I was curious to see, I didn't have much expectations as far as actually making it to the finals this year. Of course, you see Boston and Cleveland, they're tough to beat for us. But OG's been going off the past few weeks. I was curious to see what he would do this game as far as offensively, right? Because that's the only way I feel they even have a chance of maybe 2 games against the Celtics. If OG has to score, especially if Mikal Bridges isn't consistent. But, personally, I felt the Knicks at the deadline, they didn't do enough for me. Because like you said, early in the insinuated they needed another guy. You said length. As far as, that could guard probably 6'8", versatile. And I felt that, I don't know if the move was out there for them at the deadline, but look at Cleveland, right? They went and got DeAndre Hunter. I felt the Knicks needed a DeAndre Hunter type more than the Cavs did. And they went and got him. And the Cavs, the Mobley got better, Darius Garland, they got better. We'll see what they could do in the playoffs. That's been their shortcoming. But I just felt the Knicks needed to do a lot more at the deadline. And they, DeMar Wright just wasn't it, I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, you kind of run out of moves. You kind of run out of the ability to go out and get the players, like, because they built this whole team off of trades and free agency. So you got to give to get. Maybe they just didn't have any more picks to give. They didn't have any more players to give to add, someone that could really help them. Also, talking about like Hunter, like DeAndre Hunter, when that move was made, I wasn't even thinking about that. But I'm like, wow, that could be the chip. That could be the piece that puts
Right.
Cleveland on another level, and he's been good.
Right. Yeah, and they did give up Paris Levert for him. So maybe, like you said, the move
Just wasn't there. And me, I'm not gonna overreact on the Knicks this season if they don't make it far, because in essence, this is the first year of this team. Denver, when Jokic won, they took years for them to get to that point.
Right.
So my thing is, I'm not gonna, I feel they're more closer to Milwaukee and Detroit than Boston. I'm not even thinking about Boston. I'm thinking about beating the Pistons. The Pistons, they figured something out in the middle of the season. So I think the first round is going to be more interesting for the Knicks than talking about the Eastern Conference Finals or the second round, personally. So thanks for the time, Steve. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for the call, Andrew. Yeah, there's always an origin story with these teams, right? The Nuggets lost in the bubble, and then I forget when they lost the next year, but like it took them some time until they got the right pieces, had the experience, and Jokic really became like Jokic had 2 MVPs before he got to the finals and won the finals MVP. There's always, even with Jordan, right? I wasn't old enough, but I know, Jordan had to go through the Pistons and he had to lose before he eventually broke through. Like, I think the Knicks are in a spot right now where they're probably headed for another second round exit. And they got to lose with this team, but then they got to try and keep this team together. And their window is like 2-3 years after this. And, Andrew brought up OG Anunoby. Late in the game when you saw OG, he was the answer more so than Mikal Bridges as far as stopping Tatum. And, he had a quote, if I can go back and find it, where he said, I should have fouled. I should have known to foul, kind of kicking himself at the end of the game about fouling Tatum. But it's the heat of the moment. There's a lot going on. It's tough. Hindsight is 2020, and I mean, you don't know that this guy is going to drill that shot. I got to go back to Twitter and see how many steps did he take. I said Dre just sent me the video. Close, but they're never calling that in real time. They're never calling that in real time. And this is Jason Tatum. He's a reigning champ, a face of the league, Jordan brand, and Gatorade, and I don't even know what other endorsements this guy has, but like he's like that. He steps up, and they didn't have an answer for him. Mikal Bridges couldn't stop him. OG kind of had some opportunities to stop him, but it was too little, too late. 888-808-1019. The Knicks, they gotta get through the first round and see where they are in the second round, which most likely would be the Celtics. And nobody knows what's gonna happen. We just gotta hope for the best. But I just think there's some of the same conversations that are gonna come up if there's another second round exit here, if they lose to the Celtics again. And it's not gonna be the same vibe of like last year where it was like Knicks in 8, like, yeah, they tried, they did good. Like Knicks fans are ready. Like this team this year was supposed to be Eastern Conference Finals team. And I don't see any way that they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. 888-808-1019. Excited though. Excited for the NBA playoffs. Excited for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Philip is in Kearney on the Fan. Go for it, Phil.
All right, so, well, thank you for taking my call. I feel like the Devils are just also a team that, like, kind of underappreciated, even after losing Jack Hughes. But in the same respect, I'm a big Yankee fan. I took my son to his first game. That was the 20-run game. I feel like this is all an overreaction when it comes to Yankee fans. Like having that same thought that like the season's over. I've heard it recently.
If anybody is saying that the Yankees season is over, you got to stop talking to them.
Yeah, and it's horrible because my son's first game is now the game where they hit 9 home runs. And the last time I was at a game was, I think we were playing the Rays when we scored 13 in one inning. That was back out. I can't remember when.
Yeah, that's baseball. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down. It's unpredictable. They're going to have games where they hit a bunch of home runs. They're gonna have games where they don't hit home runs. Like I just was looking at SNY, they had a stat in the games that the Yankees have won, they hit 21 homers. And the games that the Yankees have lost, 4 homers. And when you think about those 4 homers, a lot of those came late in the rallies they had in the 9th inning where it was too little, too late.
No, and then it goes in the same perspective. My son became a big Devils fan, and now we're getting the same respect that we don't even get the chance that we're the 4th team now, or the 3rd team going into this playoff, and we're looked at as the pretty much like the cockroach of
the automatic out. You don't stand a chance but a lot of that is because you're missing Dougie Hamilton and Jack Hughes. And like tonight, like I said, I'm watching the game tonight. The game was over before it began. They were down 3-0. I'm like, I gotta watch I gotta watch baseball. I gotta watch the Knicks. I gotta watch the Nets. I gotta watch other things. They had a chance to clinch tonight on home ice, and they got ran.
And thank you, and you know what? Honestly, thank you, Keith, because I have never got every chance to even respond. And we get to this point now where it's like the Devils are probably the top team out of all the tri-state, and we're the last person to be talked about.
Yeah, but I'll talk about it. Thanks for the call, Phil. When the Devils went on their run 2 years ago, I was on paternity leave. And when I listened to the fan, I'm like, everything was the Rangers fan perspective. But that's because we had Rangers fans hosting. I think Sal was filling in for me at night. And, I think there were a bunch of different people that might have filled in the overnights. But the perspective was, how the Rangers collapsed, how the Rangers failed, how did the Rangers lose to the Devils? And I'm like, this radio station is right across the river from New Jersey, and there's Devils fans in New York. Shout out to my boy Dan. He's, the time that he started watching hockey, the Devils were winning. And I'm like, there's no perspective from, they're not even taking calls from Devils fans that are super excited and pumped up about coming back and winning that series. I'm like, man, if I was on, that's the angle I would be taking, having some respect for the Devils fans. And here we are, where the Rangers aren't making the playoffs. The Islanders definitely aren't making the playoffs. The Devils will be in there. You would hope that the tri-state area would rally around the Devils, but no, the Rangers fans want the Devils to be swept. And maybe some Islanders fans aren't rooting for them either, because misery loves company. The Devils get a lot of the little brother type of stuff too, because they're Jersey, right? They're not New York. The rivalry that exists between the Rangers and the Islanders is the rivalry, but there's definitely a rivalry between the Devils and the Rangers. Yeah, if you watch the Rangers play the Devils on Saturday, when they came to Newark Saturday, I'm like, damn, that's the game I should have tried to go to. I just been too busy to go. I haven't been to a game in like a couple months now. I was at opening night. I was at a couple other games. You could tell there was a clear message sent by the Devils with how they disrespected the Rangers, how they smacked the Rangers over the weekend and basically ended their season. Like, what I'm saying is the Devils, we don't know what's going to happen. The Stanley Cup playoffs are crazy. Maybe Jacob Markstrom has an all-time run through these playoff games. I probably will. I'll probably try and put the request in at least. I'll probably send my text and hit my people at the Devils being like, let me know if there's a seat available for me to go. But I also do the nighttime show here, where there have been games where I've left Prudential Center and raced from Newark to here, and it's tough. One, if you get stuck there with the parking, which you can't, and a playoff game, you're gonna most likely want to stay there until it's over. So I don't know. I want to go. And I want to support the hometown team, but it depends on the schedule here. It depends on when the Yankees are playing, and it's just tough to chance it, because if there's a Yankee game in the Bronx that's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and then the post games, I can't be in Newark. Yeah, and you're not gonna want to leave a playoff game, Yeah, I'll check on it. And shout out to the Devils. They've been great to me. and they do a lot of different things supporting the community and New Jersey businesses, and they've hooked it up. So if I shake some trees over there, tap in with my guy Pete and some other people in the Devils organization, like, hey, I'm trying to come through for the playoffs. I just know the playoffs are unpredictable, and I believe in Nico Hischier. I believe in Jesper Bratt. I believe that the Devils can make it competitive, and anything can happen. You don't know. So, yeah, tonight was absolutely rough. Shout out to my guy Forge, who calls in. Bernie Williams manager Steve Fortunato was there with his son, and we talked before the game. I'm like, yeah, clinch time. Like, go get the win tonight. But that game got out of hand fast. 7-2. The Bruins beat the Devils, and like it was 3-0, and I took it off the screen. 888-808-1019. As we're getting ready here, the Knicks will be the lone representative. The Nets are nowhere near the playoffs playing, so it's just the Knicks in the NBA playoffs, and then the Devils as our only team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Both could be knocked out in the first round. Both could advance to the second round. And then it's going to really start to heat up as far as the NFL draft and what the Mets and what the Yankees are. Now, the same way I'm saying it's early for the Yankees, and, we're playing in freezing temperatures. They played a snow baseball game. These guys are wearing ski masks and gloves. I was just laughing with Rami because Tommy Pham had a batting glove on his throwing hand in the outfield. I think I saw that in Pittsburgh, right? They didn't move the game. So it was 38 degrees at first pitch for, I guess, a day game. I guess they did move the game, but the Pirates announced that they're giving everyone with an MLB account 2 free tickets to a future game because it was so cold, for braving the cold and coming out and support the team after they took Roberto Clemente's, 21 off the wall after, fans were chanting, sell the team. They're trying to do something out there. But yeah, 888-808-1019. After the next break, we'll do Tell Me Something Cool. Whatever you guys want to hit as far as the Celtics-Knicks conversation. I'll do some more on the Mets, some more on the Yankees, and I do want to hit some Giants conversation with the draft and Jets conversation with the draft. Let's go to Mark in California on the fan. What's up, Mark?
What's going on, Keith? Well, me and Rami right now, we're doing a little back and forth with Tom Thibodeau, right? Like, so he's the worst coach in a long time in fourth quarter. Remember when he was the coach in Minnesota? He had the worst defensive fourth quarter rating in the NBA for like consecutive years, right? This guy just does not know how to manage clutch situations. And I'll give you a prime example in this game, not the foul up three. Everyone's talking about that. But you take Josh Hart out, you put Deuce McBride in for the final 12 seconds. Knicks are going all offense. Why wasn't this lineup to end regulation? Instead, 2.9 seconds left, and you're forcing Josh Hart on a broken three. It makes no sense, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
At all. And he just doesn't know. And guess what? Malone got fired. This defeat is so hot, and most people are expecting the Knicks to flame out in the second round. Okay, they flame out. Let's see what they do next year. But listen, Tibbs was the #1 vocal person in trading for Mikal Bridges. And how the heck does that turn out? Really bad. It looks really bad. It doesn't look good as you want.
It also doesn't look good. No, it didn't look good at the time, but that got a lot of hype. I knew it was not. Mikal Bridges was never an all-star. The return that you got from Mikal Bridges, like look at the Luka trade.
5 first-round picks is just. And listen, I credit him on what he did with Julius Randle, what he did with DiVincenzo and all that. But they lacked DiVincenzo. Somebody on the team like DiVincenzo. OG is stepping up, which is great. He's probably the second best scorer on the team. But besides that, they have no depth. They have no bench. And good luck if we run Detroit. Because they're a team that can play, dude. They're a gritty team. And the thing is guess what? Indiana faces the Cleveland twice and the Magic. We play the Nets, I think. We play Cleveland, I think. And forget who else we played the third game. But they easily could lose 2 out of 3. Otherwise, if Indiana was playing defense, they had a chance to take the 3 seed. So, you know what I mean? We've seen this tailing up. And Rami, I want to hear his thoughts on it, just because he was talking about how
You're coming in correct.
they're he's a disciple of Pat Riley. There's a lot of disciples of Pat Riley, and most of them have not really turned out to be great head coaches, right? And they flamed out. So I want to get his thoughts on that.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Well, when I said I was laughing with Rami, I was laughing with Rami like an hour and a half ago about Tommy Pham. Riscona is here. Brian Riscona is the one that you talked to on the phone. I'm sure he disagrees with you like I disagree with you. I think that it's easy right now to point at, Tom Thibodeau and be like, this guy sucks. He's one of the worst. Like this guy is one of the engineers and architects of this current, situation that the Knicks are in, where they're good, where they're winning, and they haven't been good for years. They've done a lot of winning under him. He doesn't get to shoot. He doesn't get to pass. He doesn't get to dribble. He doesn't play. I mean,
what you're asking for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
And just because Taylor Jenkins got fired in Memphis,
I'm not saying be happy where we are right now, because I understand that the Knicks fan is dying for a championship run here, but remember where we were for the last 20 years?
No, they've forgotten.
And everybody's like, oh my goodness, so Thibodeau's got to go. Well, not everybody, but him in particular.
A lot of people are getting louder on it because they're just getting frustrated.
Like, remember where we were for the last 20 years? I mean, no, absolutely not. I'm not getting rid of Thibodeau, no. And the second best scorer on the team is not Anunoby, at least not yet. Yes. Has he proclaimed himself to get up and better now, as now with Brunson being out? But no, he's not the second highest scorer on the team.
No, it's Brunson, it's Towns. And in this little stretch that they had over this last month without Brunson, OG emerged as a scorer.
He emerged, and he does everything on both sides of the floor. And I say this to my son, who's 7, all the time. I go, Anunoby plays both sides of the floor. Brunson doesn't. Towns doesn't. Both sides of the floor, number 8, he's irreplaceable. So, going back to this guy's point, Rami, no Rami, or Riscona, no Riscona. Thibodeau needs to stay, needs to stick around and see this through until it's to the point where it's exhausted. We're not at that point yet here as Knicks fans, or near that point as an organization, Steve. Not even close.
No, and I think that these players have a relationship with him, and you can see that on the Roommates podcast, where like he's calling Brunson, and you can see it with like how animated he's been in games with like Josh Hart, and then they just move on from it. Like these guys are Tibbs' guys. Who you guys want? Jay Wright to come coach the Villanova Wildcats? Like, and what I was saying before about Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone being fired, like, let's see what happens to the Grizzlies this year. Let's see what happens to the Nuggets this year. Firing the coach doesn't always fix things. Sometimes it can set you back. So let's walk back, right? When the Nets let him go, I thought it was so stupid. And the analogy, I was doing the Talking Nets podcast. I was mad about it because I'm like, wow, the Nets traded in the hoopty for the luxury car. They went from driving the Honda Civic to the Ferrari, and Kenny was the guy driving around the Honda Civic. And now when the organization upgrades to the Ferrari, which what I was saying, like, this guy was coaching Jared Dudley, and now they go get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and they tell him, no, you're not going to lead us. You're not going to coach this team that's going to be competing. And you know what it was? It was guys like KD, Kyrie saying, like, it's so stupid. Like, they didn't respect him. They didn't think that he would have a strong enough voice, whether it was because he didn't play in the league or whether it was because they thought he was a developmental coach and not able to coach stars. It was dumb because you know what they pivoted to? Steve Nash. Steve Nash had never coached anybody at any level.
And I'm sorry, if you could teach defense in the NBA, especially in this day and age of the NBA where there is no defense, you could still teach it. which the Cavs obviously have, that's a complete necessity. I'll always take defense over offense any day of the week. And Nash, obviously the offensive player, offensive coach. I would take Atkinson and the defensive mindset, tenfold.
Of course. And like that's why I talk about Kenny Atkinson. They took that job away from him. He took a Nets team that was left for dead with no picks and no talent. He was coaching Jared Allen and Karis LeVert and Damari Carroll and Spencer Dinwiddie, and they just, I don't know, they had a bunch of misfit toys put together on that Nets team. That was a D-Lo team, and they were able to get to the playoffs. They beat the Sixers that first game, and then they got the gentleman's sweep. But like when they go out that summer and they get Katie and Kyrie, Kenny Atkinson should have been allowed to coach that team. But that's when they started letting the players run the team, and they ran the team into the ground. And like now they have Jordy Fernandez, who I hope that they stick with, because like they ended up going from Nash to Jacques Vaughn, and they wanted Ime Udoka at one point. Ime Udoka was on the bench. I don't know. The coach makes a big difference, and you got to have a coach that the players like and respect and have experience working with. And you're not guaranteed that like whoever comes in is just going to be able to make it work. It's easy to blame the coach, but get him some different players, get him some more horses. But you know what? It's going to be the same thing. 888-808-1019. When we come back, we'll do Tell Me Something Cool, and we'll switch gears a little bit. But I already know it's going to be the same thing. They're going to say Tibbs runs his guys into the ground. These guys are tired. They don't have the legs. He plays the same guys. They don't have any bench. He doesn't make the defensive adjustments. He doesn't know how to draw up the right plays. And when they lose in the second round to a superior team that is the reigning champs, it's going to be a bunch of people calling for him to be fired. And I hope that they don't listen to the crowd. Keith McPherson on the Fan. My last, 22 minutes or something left. Call me up. We'll be right back. All right, last segment coming up here. Knicks have to play Detroit Cavs Friday. This is not looking good for that third seed. Yeah. So play the rejoin, and I'll come back and kind of cue it up, and I'll say, all right, now we'll do Tell Me Something Cool. Okay, so that is a shared folder of rejoin beats. If you go back, let me see. There should be an email before that with or maybe I didn't send it. Okay, hold on. Okay, yes, the Bryce Harper forward screen recording, the attachment. Yeah, at 11:47. And I only sent it that way because I think the last time I sent it to Alex, who was producing. So just to rip that, if you can even load it into the system or whatever, I got to get an actual audio file of it. But like that is the recording of John Sterling throwing to me for Tell Me Something Cool. Yeah. All right. Cool. So Tell Me Something Cool next. What promo? So I would say I think it sounds better if like we play the rejoin music and I come back and I with no promo and then like fade the music down, play the John Sterling cut because he'll say like, and now Keith McPherson, tell me something cool, and then I'll jump right back in. I'm trying to find the paragraph about. Is there a certain time that it's supposed to happen? Okay. Hey, John, good to hear from you again. I got a couple cool things lined up here. One, the San Francisco Giants, of course, they give a nod to New York with their City Connect uniforms before the Yankees do. The Yankees will probably never do a City Connect uniform because they're never going to not wear the pinstripes, and that's fine. The San Francisco Giants, if you remember, their City Connect uniforms, they were like white with this gradient that faded into orange. I don't know. I think it was supposed to look like uh the Golden Gate Bridge or something stupid. I don't know. They had some of the worst. I remember when I was working with Bleacher Report, I had to like rank the top 5 best City Connect uniforms and the top 5 worst, and the Giants were in the worst. But they get a mulligan, right? So as the Yankees won't even do one, there are multiple teams doing 2. And the San Francisco Giants tonight debuted their new City Connect uniforms, and the nod that they give to New York, obviously being the New York Giants many moons ago, they have a little bit of purple in their new City Connect uniform. It says the purple is meant to evoke the Fillmore stage lights and Haight Ashbury's posters, though it also pays tribute to the franchise's New York origins from when the Giants briefly wore violet from 1913 to 1917 as a nod to NYU. And I think I read somewhere today too that the owner went to NYU. So that's cool. So if you were watching the games tonight and you saw the Giants in these new uniforms, there's so many different things involved. It's almost too much, but I think it's cool. This is what it's supposed to be, right? They have like music symbols. They have all these different things built into the uniform that like tell a story. That's the whole thing with the City Connect uniform. It's supposed to tell some kind of story. Sound waves, the headliner, San Francisco's signature remixed and framed gradient in their hats. There's a glove patch, an iconic outfield glove remixed with the Summer of Love energy. Music icons, 9 music genres that shape the Bay Area, sampled across the tag and cap interior. So yeah, take a look at the San Francisco Giants new City Connect uniforms. And like I said, they give a nod to New York and NYU and being a former New York team. And they've done their second City Connect uniform before the Yankees do one. 888-808-1019. We're wide open for calls and whatever you want to get in on the fan. But I do have something else for my Tell Me Something Cool tonight. Shout out to the Yes Network and the Yes app. The New York Yankees and the Yes Network announced the upcoming debut of a new docuseries called The Stadium. It takes viewers behind the curtain at Yankee Stadium, showing what takes place before the gates open to fans. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but basically they're just going to show you the prep and things that go on behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people in there that I recognize from the stadium, maybe some people I even know, from security to concessions to ticket sales people. I'm looking forward to seeing it. It premieres on April 14th. So that is Monday coming up. And the quote is, let's see, when you step back and think about what we do at Yankee Stadium, the population of a small city shows up to a single building in the most famous city in the world. And in a 3-hour time frame, they have to enter and exit smoothly, shop for merchandise, be served hundreds of different items of food, and be entertained with music. Also, probably have my guy DJ J. Jung in there. Continuously updated graphics and a performance from the best athletes in the world, all while their collective safety and security is vigilantly maintained. So that came from Doug Bahar, the senior vice president of the Yankees. And yeah, look forward to, seeing that on the Yes app, on the Gotham Sports app as well. I think that's cool. 888-808-1019. Now's my opportunity to lean into the draft. So I was talking in my live chat. Shout out to Kevin Matthew, who's in my live chat. We were talking about Brock Bowers and how last year a lot of us thought that the Jets were going to draft Brock Bowers for Aaron Rodgers. Because how many years did the Packers not draft a weapon for Aaron Rodgers? And with the Jets, it's like, okay, you draft Brock Bowers. They didn't draft Brock Bowers. But how dominant was Brock Bowers in year one? How much of a beast was Brock Bowers with Desmond Ridder and Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball? So I say that to say this. The Jets passed on taking a tight end last year. I think Tyler Conklin is with the Chargers now. Am I right about that? Yes, he signs a 1-year deal with the Chargers. And, you're not missing much with Tyler Conklin. I know Stone Smart signed with the Jets, but why not draft a young, can't-miss prospect at the position? And when I say can't miss, a lot of these guys are experiments, but this kid, from what you saw in Penn State in the bowl game, Tyler Warren is a beast. He wears 44 for John Riggins. He said that his dad showed him a video of John Riggins, and that's when he started wearing 44. I just talked about Armand Membu, the tackle out of Missouri. Okay, if you want to go that way and get somebody to block, Tyler Warren can also block. And not for nothing, okay, Membu is 6'4.5", 332. Tyler Warren is 6'5.5", 256. He's a monster of a blocking and receiving threat. And when you put this offense together, why not give Justin Fields a guy up the middle of the field, a guy shallow that he could drop the ball off to, a big body target that can be a safety blanket for a young quarterback that, I don't know. I just think Tyler Warren makes a lot of sense. I think he makes a lot of sense. But also I understand another tackle, because what did they do last year when they didn't go Brock Bowers? They went Olu Fashanu, which I think was the right pick. But I don't know if I'm going offensive tackle back-to-back years. This is the first pick of this new regime. This is the first pick that Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn picked together. The tackle isn't going to be so sexy. I just think Tyler Warren would be a really solid pick, and a pick that would get Jets fans fired up. I know you have Jeremy Ruckert, a local guy, Ohio State ties with your Ohio State quarterback in Justin Fields. But, man, this kid would come in and just be a beast. You'd be pumped up to see him right away. And on the other side, with the Giants, draft, we have gone now from they got to draft a quarterback, to them signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Where if you sign those two guys and you have Tommy DeVito, quarterback is now not a position of need. And you're dealing with a head coach and a GM that they can't be drafting for the future. It's not their future to draft for. They got to win now. They got to compete this year. They got to figure it out today, tomorrow, next week, next month. They have the toughest strength of schedule. It's the Giants. Like, the Giants have to get a player at 3 that can impact winning this year. Shedeur Sanders is not the pick anymore. And there were plenty of weeks where I was telling you, get Shedeur. That was before you went out. I didn't know you were going to go. I didn't know you were going to get Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. You don't need to draft a quarterback anymore. Not with number 3. I saw Dan Orlovsky float drafting Jalen Milroe. I wouldn't even worry about Jalen Milroe, even though I could see some packages where he comes into the game, short yardage, runs the ball. I think I had that theory when I was thinking they were going to sign Aaron Rodgers. I was like, oh, sign Aaron Rodgers, and then in the second round, because they have a high pick in the second round, draft Jalen Milroe, and then Jalen Milroe can come in and be your Taysom Hill. He could be your Justin Fields. He could be, the guy to do the short yardage running when, Aaron Rodgers can't do it. But no, now I don't think, after the pro day either, I don't think they take Travis Hunter. But maybe they do, because what's happening right now is what happens every year. Smoke screens as we get closer, as we are days away now. As tomorrow, right? Today is now Wednesday, April 9th. Tomorrow puts us 2 weeks from the NFL draft. That's crazy. All right. Yeah, let's take a break right here. What I'm saying with the Giants is, like, Abdul Carter might be a smokescreen. Maybe they're trying to get Travis Hunter. Like, Brian Daboll on campus at Penn State going to breakfast with the kid. Why does the head coach got to go to breakfast with the kid? And then we heard about them not going to the pro day for Shedeur and for Travis Hunter. You don't need to be at the pro day either. But I don't know. The Giants need a impact player at 3, and Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter could be an impact player this year. I think Travis Hunter more so than Abdul Carter. And Abdul Carter grew up an Eagles fan. You don't want that kind of energy in the building. Or maybe you do because you got to rush the passer. Okay, let's take this last break. If you'd like to get a call in, last calls for calls, 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Right back after this. All right. Tyler Warren was at the top of my wish list before Denver signed Evan Ingram. Yeah, and I don't think Denver is he's going to go. He's going to go. He's a top 15 pick. I don't think he's not falling to Denver. He's not falling to Denver. Let's see what else. What did I not touch on in my notes here? Oh, man. I didn't go out of town. Oh, I'm tired, man. I'm tired, yo. The maintenance guy knocked on my – so, like, I go to sleep every night at, like, 3:30. And then my son and my wife start getting going around, like, 7. So, like, a lot of times I'll still be in bed and they'll be getting ready. And like, my son is at an age now where he's, hi, dada, hi, dada, hi, dada. Like, and I don't mind it at all. I'm blessed to have him. And my wife takes care of him in the morning so I can try and rest. But today, the, like, maintenance guy knocked on the door at, like, 9:30. So that threw me all off. Because, like, I usually try to sleep till, like, 10:30, 10, and then get up. Just need that sleep. 7 hours of sleep. 7 hours of commercial-free football. So hopefully tonight I can get home and sleep from 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then I got calls and I got meetings and I got podcasts to do and my own content to do. I haven't posted in a couple of days. I'm lacking, bro. Lacking. Let me see. Yeah, they got Omarion Hampton falling to 20 and the Broncos taking him. So that wouldn't be bad either. That wouldn't be bad either. Okay. Just doing my double, triple checks that nothing broke, no breaking news. And then I'm out. Yeah. Well, let's check the MLB news too. I didn't really go there. D-backs O's gets wild and crazy 7th inning. Okay. I don't care. All good. Count it. Got it. Then I got to get out of the way quick for Big Mac. Yeah. All right. Last couple minutes here. I'll get out of the way in a few. Big Mac is in the bullpen warming up. He's ready to come in and do his thing. Keep McPherson on the fan. Thanks for the calls. Thanks for the about 500 of you guys still in the chat, holding strong at almost 2 a.m. There's a few more things that I have in my notes that I wanted to speak on that I'm going to speak on, and then I'll dip out. If you want to get a last call in, 888-808-1019. So, some things from MLB. I think I was alluding to before. If you think the Yankees are cooked, then the Dodgers are cooked too. It's baseball. They're gonna lose games. They're gonna lose games every single month. They're gonna have losing streaks. They're gonna get beat. I don't think anybody is looking at the L3 next to the Los Angeles Dodgers and saying, season's over. Season's over. The Dodgers just lost to the Nationals and the Phillies. Pack it up. Season's over. The Dodgers now are in third place. Season's over. They're the Dodgers. They're going to be fine. The New York Yankees are the Yankees. They're going to be fine. The Tampa Bay Rays have lost 5 in a row. The Chicago White Sox have lost 6 in a row, but that's pretty standard. They had a much longer streak going last year. They actually had a no-no going earlier yesterday and weren't able to see it through. I didn't do out-of-town scoreboard. and I'm working on like a segment where I have like a plan in a way of hitting the out of town scoreboard and hitting the news stories once I'm on at night and the games go final. But yeah, I kind of sprinkled in the things that I had for just overall baseball news. Cole Reagan's back-to-back games with double-digit Ks. He's on his way to be in the Cy Young conversation. Sean Murphy is back. So just as you were writing off the Atlanta Braves, and the Atlanta Braves lost their first 7 games, they beat the Phillies tonight 7-5. Sean Murphy homers in his season debut. And last but certainly not least, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but there was one hell of a rivalry today. An immovable object meeting, another force. Today, there was a matchup between Yeshiva and Lehman. 2 Jewish schools that just had a ridiculous losing streak, where Yeshiva lost 99 games in a row and Lehman lost 42 straight. Somebody had to win today. The 2 longest losing streaks in college baseball. Somebody had to win today. And I'll tell you who won right after we take this call. Eli is in Tom's River on the Fan. Go for it, Eli. Good. How are you?
About this earlier on the show. I wasn't listening, but the Yankees are 6-5. 6 wins coming in, I believe, 50 degrees weather or higher, and the losses coming in freezing weather. 1 in Pittsburgh, 2 against the Diamondbacks at the stadium, and 2 against Detroit, which works out good for us in the summer, but for October, it's a bit of trouble. But it's already 11 games. What do you think about this pattern?
Yeah, I saw there's an account that I follow on Yankees Twitter at Yankees Light, and they were the first ones to call out, and formerly, something else on Twitter, but they were the first ones to call out through 10 games. The Yankees' success has been exactly proportionate to how good the weather is. I was at that 77-degree day game where they, hit 9 home runs and scored 20 runs. What I'll say is, they can't make an excuse all year for the weather. It's soft. It's cold for the Tigers too. Like you just said, when we get to October, it's cold out here. And the team will look, somewhat different by October anyway.
And that leads me to the next point with the pitching. How different is the rotation going to look, if anything, besides for the guys coming back from injury? Is Sandy Alcantara a move that you think they're going to make, or
No, I don't think Cashman will be fleeced by the Marlins, and I don't think the Marlins are going to talk to the Yankees and not ask for the sun, the moon, and the stars. So I'm not really big on them getting Sandy Alcantara, but that doesn't mean they can't go get somebody else. I don't know who it's going to be. It can't be Rodon pitching in game 2 of the postseason. It's got to be Max Fried and someone else. Luis Hill will come back. Clark Schmidt will come back. So, we'll be able to drop Will Warren back down. We'll be able to move on from Carlos Carrasco, but they got to get another ace to replace what Cole would have been, in my humble opinion.
That's true. And on a more positive note, I was noticing, of course, in Pittsburgh, the fight that they put up in the 9th, even though they lost that, and just starting to see a little bit of the resiliency coming through, and that comeback spirit that we know with these Yankee teams, the walk-offs and everything, that hasn't come yet. But even when they've lost 5 games and they're around 500, but at the same time, on a positive note, they are fighting. They don't usually go quiet. Today was, I think, the first time they got for sure shut out and really went quiet. But overall, they're putting up good fights, and I'm really optimistic about this team going forward.
Thanks for the call, Eli. Yeah, they battled back against the Diamondbacks. They battled back to almost sweep the Pirates. They do have that in them. TWTW, the will to win. Never say die. Those are good signs. They have a deep lineup where the top of the lineup isn't the only spot of the lineup that can get you. It's fine. It's a roller coaster. Right now, it's a 500 up and down season. That does not mean that's how the whole season will be. And speaking of, up and down seasons, it's been pretty down, like I was saying, for Yeshiva and Lehman, but Lehman snapped their 42-game losing streak. Yeshiva goes to 100 games consecutive loss, and Lehman wins 7-6 today. I saw that pop up on my feed, so I had to include that in for my brothers in the Jewish community that I know were tapped in on the Jewish college baseball scene. 99 straight losses versus 42 straight losses. And Lehman wins today by 1 run in 8 innings. I don't know if that was on any of your radars. And to end on a different note, a more serious note, and I waited to go here. Man, what an unfortunate story out of the Dominican Republic. 2 former players, Esteban Herman and Octavio Dotel. One, Dotel played for the Mets and the Yankees. When I was seeing this stuff earlier today, I'm like, wait, what happened? A ceiling collapsed. And they were in like a nightclub or a restaurant nightclub in the Dominican, and the ceiling collapsed on these people. I think I saw 18 people passed, also including Nelson Cruz's sister. And it's just unfortunate. So prayers up to the families and all the people lost and affected. A crazy situation, and a nightmare. Like, you hear that a place that people are at, the roof caves in on them. And it comes back to us because, some players that we know that are back in the Dominican Republic that played in Major League Baseball are affected. So prayers and condolences to the families. That was just a crazy story to hear. Okay, I'm done. But I'll be back tomorrow, and maybe we'll get a Yankee win and the Mets sweep, and they keep rolling. And we'll be here to talk about everything that comes from it, and take your calls and keep pushing through. And it's 2 a.m, so that means Big Mac is coming up to take you to 5 a.m. And we'll go through the rest of the day. Thanks for listening to my show. Thanks for watching online. Thanks for calling. KM out. This has been another KM to AM. Good night. Oh, I know,